In this WordPress Starter course, you don't need any knowledge of coding, nor will you ever need to. You don't need any experience, and we are going to build out a printer company's website for them, a one-pager, and you can turn this into any other kind of shop or even a personal website that you want to create. We have this great hero section at the top, then a promo countdown, services below that with the 3 little areas that we can put something about our site there, more about us, then a testimonial from a very well-known customer. We have a gallery section there just to boast a little bit color and imagery on our site. Then we bring in our brands. Below that, more about the owner. And finally, at the bottom, we have a contact section where they can reach us. And we can also, of course, collect all that information from people visiting our site. We will go more in depth in this WordPress Starter course than we did in the WordPress Crash Course. If you don't know what I talk about, please visit us at w4b.io, and that I've recently released this WordPress Crash Course. This is a great way to start to get an overview of everything we're going to do. And in this starter course, we're going to take things a little bit more in depth. We will look more at how we're going to build out the header. We'll look more at the footer builder as well in the theme. And then we will look at global styling, which is the color themes for your site, and the typography, how you can set that up at the beginning so that when you need to make those changes later on, it's just a few clicks and you don't need to go and manually adjust each and every one. Before I forget, my name is JP. Welcome to Websites for Beginners. And if you want to know a little bit more about me, also welcome to go and check at w4b.io. There's a little blurb on there and also ways that you can reach me. And I hope that this tutorial will really bring you from that zero to the semi-hero. And then in the future courses, we will take you to a full-blown superhero. There are timestamps in the description below to jump around between the different chapters. And then let's talk about what you're going to need to practice along for this course and how to make this website in the next chapter. Every time we do a course on WordPress, we do need to talk about what is WordPress. Because this is a recurring theme, we have a playlist here on the channel called WordPress Essentials with small little videos that cover all those questions like what is a theme, what is WordPress, how do I change the language, how do I do this, etc. Companion to that is another playlist called Website Essentials, and those will cover things that are generic to all websites. And if you are very new to this and you really want to get deeper into this, then you follow those 2 playlists as well with videos that come out weekly or bi-weekly. But if you just want to make that one single website for yourself and you just want to get going, then you don't really need to dig into all of that terminology and understanding all the processes. You can simply just follow along with the crash course and the starter course and then the future core and blogging and e-commerce courses. And that will bring you to a point where you will be very happy with the product. WordPress is free. However, the things that you use to run it on, like your host and you need to get a domain, these things are not free. And you need to spend that money to get your site going. However, if you want to practice and don't spend any money and just get a WordPress framework in which you can practice along, look in the description below. I give you 2 options. One is a local option, which you can do on your computer. I won't really recommend it because it's very, very slow. But if you have no alternative, you do that. The other one is an online developer kind of staging site that you can do. Very simple to sign up. Very easy. And the links for those videos are in the description below so that you can easily follow along and practice along. So WordPress is the first one. Then we will be using a theme called Blocksy in this, and we'll talk a lot about themes until we won't be talking about themes anymore. Blocksy is the theme that we will be using. Think of your cell phone. You want to change how the cell phone, all the apps look, you change the theme. That's the same thing. But the theme does so much more. It also regulates a lot of things, such as the base font on your site that will be used, your headers, your footers, and how people will navigate in the menu at the top. For that, we're going to use the free version of Blocksy. Great premium version, which I absolutely adore. But for this starter course, no need to go into that. Then to build out our pages, the content creation of our pages, we're going to use a builder called Brizy. Now, there are so many builders on the market. I'm, of course, with Brizy, and that's why I love using Brizy. All bias aside, when it comes to using a builder from the get-go and you've never done anything, I highly recommend Brizy. You're going to see once you get used to the user interface, it's really a breeze to use it. Very easy, right? Brizy. Great. So these are the 3 tools we're going to be using: WordPress, Blocksy, and Brizy. They're all free. You don't need to spend any money doing this course. You don't need to sign up for any trials. You're going to do this all within WordPress. Very simple. Then the last part that you will be needing for this course are the images. The images I've gotten from a great website called freepik.com. They have free stuff, and all the images I'll be sharing with you comes from their free stuff. I give you this name freepik.com so that if in the future you think you need more images or you want to look at their premium stuff, this is the best pricing solution for the amount of content that you get on the internet. They are not an affiliate. I don't get any money for promoting them. I want to give you the resources that's going to get you the easiest on your legs from crawling to running. And they are a good investment if you need to work with stock photos or vectors. What I've done is I've taken the images that we will be using and I've put them in a zip folder that you can download, and that link is also in the description below. This is all you're going to need to run this course. Let's get into WordPress next. Log in and clean it up a little bit so we have a nice clean interface. Let's start with our WordPress, and in this chapter we're going to clean up. I call it the cleanup, or it's rather like a setup of WordPress. Click on Login and it takes you into WordPress. I'm one of those people that really care about terminology. The problem is that sometimes you shouldn't care too much about things because most people don't care. You will often hear that when influencers and educators talk about WordPress, they call this the dashboard. The dashboard is one part of the WordPress admin area. Actually, this is called the admin area. Now, when you are working with a host, in this case I am, then they often pre-install things on your site. WordPress also pre-installs things on your installation, and they are, in most cases, harmless. You don't really need to do anything. You can leave them there. But in this little small OCD characteristic of mine, I do like to clean them out so that you and I can be on the same page. And I call it the 4 Ps and the 1 S. Usually I do 3 Ps first, then the S, and then another P. So the first thing we do is we go to the navigation sidebar on the left, go to Posts, and we click on it. And there is a post already here that WordPress has been putting there forever called Hello World. To delete it, you select Trash. It's not permanently deleted. It's now in a trash folder. And you can see just up there, it says Trash. Select it and click on Empty Trash to get rid of it forever and ever. You will never need it. The next one is the pages. So if you go to Pages, WordPress loads 2 pages. We're going to take them away as well. This time I will bulk select them by clicking here in the checkbox at the top, selects all of them. Then you go to Bulk Actions, and from the drop-down menu, you select Move to Trash. Same procedure, click Apply. It's going to put all in the bin. And then when you click on Trash, you will see the 2 are here. And again, we're going to Empty Trash. So the next P on our list are plugins. And that you find over here. Click on Plugins, and you will see we have 3 plugins. I am going to select all of them, again with bulk select, and you may have none or you may have different ones. And the first thing I will do is click on Deactivate. This one that is highlighted in blue is actually activated. So when you see them highlighted in blue, it means that at this moment they are running within WordPress. If they are white like these 2, it means they are available, they are there in the installation, but they are not being used. You cannot just delete something that is active. You need to deactivate it first. So not to do it one by one, I'm going to bulk select all of them and click on Deactivate. Those that are not active will remain deactive. Then I will select them all again, and I will go to bulk actions and click on delete and click apply. In this case, WordPress is going to be a little bit concerned that I don't know what I'm doing. But if you are with the vanilla installation, go ahead and click on OK, and it will remove them all. The 3 P's comes the S, and that takes us to settings, where I make a few changes to the settings. We will change 2 things here. First is the site language. Yes, if you speak a different language than English, there is most probably a user interface language selection for you over here. I am from South Africa, so I can put it on English South Africa. The changes to that are minimal, but I do that so that you understand that if you prefer Japanese, if you prefer German, you can do that. For me, even though my mother tongue isn't English, it's Afrikaans. When I put it in Afrikaans, I have no idea what's going on here because many of these words are just so foreign to me in my own mother tongue. So I keep it on English. The other thing I'll also do here is to change the time zone, and we're going to put that on my time zone, which is UTC+2. Within these settings, you can also change your name of your site as well as a little description of it, but we're going to do that later when we work with the theme. Any changes you make here, scroll to the bottom and click on Save Changes. In the screen, you often don't see that Save Changes button at the bottom. And when you click on anything else now, it will not warn you that you haven't made those changes permanent. So remember, always go look for the Save Changes. Click on that. And that brings us to the last P, which is permalinks. This is under Settings, and you select Permalinks. Now, what permalinks do is that they determine how the last part of your website address will look. For example, if you create a new page and you call that an About Us page, then it will say at the end About Us. For your posts, when you do any article, the default in WordPress many years ago was to put a date there. So if I created like today on Saturday the 13th May 2023, my post name would be my site and then the date, not the name of the post. But today we prefer to use the post name. This is actually not important for this course because we're not going to be creating posts that we will be doing in the blogging one. But I want to show you that there is a permalink structure, which we will talk about more in the future. But for good measure, this is part of my 4 Ps, permalinks, and I put it on post name, and then I save my changes. And now I've done all the cleaning in the back end. I've made sure everything that I want here is set up. So I'm good to go. And that brings me to the next change that we will make, and that is the theme. A big part in navigating your WordPress experience is to understand the front end and the back end. And the back is this area where we're currently working. This is where we change everything. This is where we build the settings, etc. And the front end is how it will look to a visitor. To jump between these two, you go to the top where you see this currently saying just another WordPress site, and you click on it. And this takes you to the front end. Currently, this is how it looks. Go back to just another WordPress site and click again on it, and it will take you to the back end. And you can just keep clicking on this the whole time and jump back and forth between the two. Many people will tell you that when you go up there, you will see there's a drop down that says Visit Site, and that you need to click that. Potato, it's one extra little movement of your cursor. You really don't need to do that. You can simply click there on just another WordPress site. You'll see again here we get the option of the dashboard versus the themes. But again, if you just want to go to the admin area, you click here on just another WordPress site. By the way, this little black bar at the top where we see this is called the WordPress toolbar. At this moment, I want to kind of teach you a workflow, and that is to have one tab open in the back end and another tab in your browser open in the front end. And this is what you can do. Go to just another WordPress site, hover over it, don't click. And now you're going to click hold. So click hold and then drag that and you take it to the top of your browser and you drop it there. And this will open another tab for you within the browser with the front end. How you work now is that when you make any changes in the back end, you simply go to the front, and what we do is every time here on reload this page or refresh, you simply click that and you will see those changes happening. This is how most people work, and sometimes you will have so many tabs open there in the top, you will get lost. I want to show you another way how you can quickly open a tab. So close that tab, hover over just another WordPress site, and on your keyboard, you hold down Control, and on a Mac, that's going to be Command. Click on it, and by holding down Control and then clicking, it will open the tab automatically with that link. That is a very nice way that we will be working. So leave this open, and now we go back to our back end, and we go look at this theme, the theme that is determining how all of this looks, where this font is coming from, how our header looks at the top, what's happening with our footer here at the bottom, where this green is coming from. That's all determined by the theme. Go back, Appearance, and select Themes. We have here 3 themes, and really this differs a lot from host to host, depending on who you are using. Sometimes there will be 4 or 5, sometimes 10, sometimes just 1 theme. In this case, we have this theme that says Active 2023. And this is the latest theme that the WordPress developers actually give you to use for free. You can see the old ones there, 2022, 2021. Sometimes they skip a year if nothing miraculous had happened during that time in terms of releases for WordPress. These themes are very limited though, and you're going to find that if you need a theme to work with, if you need to have more control, these themes are not going to rock your boat at all. So what we do is that we go look for third-party themes, people who made themes to be compatible with WordPress and good themes. Do some research on Google, look for best themes for WordPress 2023. You'll always find a million articles. What you need to do between those articles is check the themes that they have in common. That will be my tip for you. But the theme we're going to use, tried and tested, and I love it, is called Blocksy. There are other great themes too, but in the end, you need to make a choice. Go to Add New, because we're going to find this theme in the WordPress little archive library, which we refer to as the WordPress repository. By clicking on Add Themes, you will see that, whoa boy, there are a number of themes here. These are all third-party. These are probably your neighbor who made some of them during the night while you were sleeping. The good ones actually all appear here at the top. I can see them, like Astra, we have Neve. They are really good ones that you can use. And then, of course, I told you the one that we're going to be using is Blocksy. In the search box for search themes, go ahead and type in Blocksy, and it will search through the repository. If it's free, it's here. It's kind of how the WordPress world works. You're supposed to put the free stuff here because WordPress will run some checks on them. Do they comply to the code? Make sure there's no malware or security issues in it. Great. So with Blocksy, you will hover over it and you click on Install. Whenever you bring in something new into WordPress, you go through 2 processes every time. One is to bring it into your framework, and that is the installation. But you're not using it yet. The second part is to activate it. Don't click on Activate yet. Go back to Appearance and select Themes again so we can bring in all the themes. Now we see we have 4 themes. We've added Blocksy. 2023 is still active, but what we want to do is we want to activate Blocksy. We click on Activate, and it's activated. And what it does, it actually gives us a dashboard for the Blocksy theme. Go to the front end. Your tab is still open. I hope you left it open. And what we're going to do now is refresh our page. And as you refresh it, you will see that things change. Some of the text is gone and things look different. The font has changed. And that is because we're using a new theme. With this done, let's jump back and we are going to go to Appearance, select Themes, and now I'm going to clean up my themes as well. But once we get here, you're going to see, thanks for installing Blocksy, you rock. Who needs to tell me that? And then it says, install the Blocksy Companion. Now the Blocksy Companion is an add-on to the theme. You don't need it. If you're going to do very basic stuff with the theme, you don't need it. But we are going to use a feature called a transparent header, which is part of this additional feature. So we need to install the Blocksy companion. This will be a plugin, and a plugin will go into the plugins folder. The great thing that Blocksy has done is that this has become an automated feature. So all I need to do is click here on Install Blocksy Companion, and it's going to go through the process. And now, once this companion has been installed, also notice that in the navigation sidebar on the left, there's now a label for Blocksy. They actually have their own little house now there that we can go and visit them whenever we need to make changes. And the dashboard has improved with a few additional stuff like starter sites, great. And if you go to plugins, select it, you'll note that we have one plugin now. We deleted those 3 at the beginning, and now we've installed the Blocksy companion, and this is where we can find it. Go to Appearance and select Themes, and let's now finally do the cleanup. Blocksy is active, 2023 has been deactivated. These 3, click on them, and then here in the bottom right corner, select Delete. It's going to ask me, yes, I want to delete it, and we do it for the other 2 as well. If you get to that impossible situation where you say, oh, but I missed 2022 theme, I really want to bring it back, you can just go again to add new, search the WordPress repository and bring it back in. But I guess you're not going to bring that back in. Now we have set up our Blocksy theme for us to work with. And I think before we look even at bringing in the page builder, let's still do the setting up of our site. Let's go look at our site identity and how we can do that. We set up the theme, and what I would like to do is to change actually our name of our site with a little bit description, which is the site identity and our tagline. But at the same time, I also want to change that little image up there. We refer to this image, you see currently it's a little circle, is called a favicon. What we want is this one over here. And for that, we need to bring in our images. And those are the creatives that I've prepared for you. So let's do that in the next chapter. You are being spoiled by giving the images, because one headache of creating a website is actually getting all the images ready and make sure that they will be very good and to the right size for your website. And those are also things that we cover here at Websites for Beginners. But in this case, I'm giving you those images so that you can practice along. In the description below, you will find a link to the creatives. That is where the images are hosted. Click on that link and I will simulate that for you. Once you click on that link, the following is going to happen. All it's going to do is download it. And as I'm using Chrome in this case, it's downloading the zip file here in the bottom left corner with about 5 megabytes, which is really, really nothing. I'll go and show it in folder. Here is my zip file. And then you click on it to open it or whatever may be the case. Now you need to extract these. Unfortunately, I see I didn't create a folder for it. I will go ahead here and just make a folder, make it a little easy. And I'll call this print co. So I have that. Print co, and then I will double click again here. I will select all of them and then go ahead and copy. And you know how to do this. You'll do the way that you prefer, and then we paste it and I bring these in here. Now I have this little folder with all the images nice and ready. You can see these are the images we will be using. And then over here, I also have a website screen capture for you if you want to have some reference to follow along as to how the website will look. And you can scroll through that nice little handy guide that you can use. Here also is a Word document that you can open in Google if you don't have Word. And this will give you the settings that I'm using. Let's just have a look here. The images that I've downloaded, the links for that, as well as the link for the favicon, the fonts we will be using, Palanquin and Palanquin Dark, and then the 2 colors, just 2 colors. The names of the colors are, and you have all of these creatives ready. But what we need to do next is go back into WordPress and bring in those images. I'll just close this download bar and select Media from the navigation menu on the left. This opens the media library, and currently no media items are found. That's how it should be. It should be empty. Take your folder or your Finder and then select the images. Do not select this one with the screen capture, nor the document. You don't need that. And all you need to do is click, hold, and drag it into the media library. Depending on your speed of your internet and also your host, this is going to be either very quick or it may take some time. These are not big images, so it shouldn't take forever. And within no time, I've gotten them in. Now the images are within WordPress. So when we build out this page, I don't need to import them every time one by one by one. I can just simply go to the media library and use them from there. With these images imported, let's go and change the site title, the tagline, and the favicon in the next chapter. With this tab that is still open, if I go to the front, you will see that here in the tab at the top, it says just another WordPress site. And that is the name of your site. You don't want that there. And you will think, well, elementary, dear Watson. I will tell you how shocked I am every day almost that I click on shops or many other websites, and then it still says just another WordPress site at the top. Well, so many people are making websites in WordPress. I know it's easy to oversee this, and it's something that you just maybe do once every time you set up a website, so you forget about it. That's why I'm telling you, try and do these things at the beginning, because once you start getting into the building and testing and everything, it's easy to forget that. Go back to WordPress and remember that under your settings, general, you have the option to change the site title here, as well as the tagline, which is the description of your site. But themes also allow you to do that, and the theme also allows you to bring in the favicon. The favicon is this little image next to your name at the top. It stands for favorite icon, and some will call it the site icon. This is great if you save your page within your browser or on your phone. That is the icon that will give you that visual display of the site that you are looking for. So it's very important you also get a site icon. Better to do this then within the theme. Every time you are working with a theme feature, we do that in the theme settings. And in WordPress, those settings are called the customizer. Yes, this is where you customize the theme, so we refer to it as the customizer. You can access the customizer next to appearance. You will see under themes, it says customize. Click on that. The theme we are using is Blocksy. So it's going to open Blocksy. And with that, it's going to give us a view of our site, which is currently empty. You see, it looks exactly like our front end at the moment. We can see that here on the right. And on the left, all the settings that we have. Scroll down to the bottom where you see core. This is the core part of your site. And there you see site identity. Select that. And we have three options here: the site title, the tagline, and then the site icon / favicon. These two you've also seen within the WordPress settings. Let's start here. We're going to call this printco. That's the name. And then the tagline is a short description of the services. And you have to do this as precise as possible, because Google, Bing, and all the rest, they search these things online and then they put it into their search engine, so that when people come and they type in printing needs in the search bar, hopefully you get recognized for that. So these are one of those steps that you really need to do. All your printing needs. So I'm going to keep this one simple. And then we're going to bring in that little icon. Select site icon. The upload tab opens first. In case you wanted to bring something in manually at this moment, you will do it here. But we've already imported our media, so we don't need to do that. Select here then, Media Library, and it will give access to all the media we already have. And this is our favicon, this one on the right. Once you have selected it, note that you have a number of things here on the right that tells you everything about this image. You have the name of the image, the date, the size, 60 kilobytes small, and also the size in terms of its resolution, which is 640 pixels by 640 pixels, which is good. Below this, you have the title, you have a caption if you need that. So if you have an image that you are displaying on your site and you want to add some caption at the bottom, little heading, you can add that. You can also bring in a description. One of the things that you need to do for good image management is provide alternative text, the alt text, and then also make sure that your title is descriptive of your image. I think you are familiar that sometimes you search for something. I sometimes walk in the garden, I see a strange plant, and then, when I search for it, the first thing that Google gives me is images. And you work on that image, and if that image doesn't have a proper naming function. So for example, if I'm looking at a acacia tree or a eucalyptus tree, and the image on your site doesn't have in the alt text or in the title eucalyptus, there is no way that Google will ever offer your image to someone as an option to look at. So that's very important. You should have the word print and maybe professional print or something like that in all of these images, so that when someone is searching for professional print company, it will pop up in Google results. Don't think it's going to. Tens of thousands of print shops out there, but it's important that you do this step and put in the alternative text. We're not going to do that in this case, but something you need to do when you bring in images all the time. But that is something that you need to go through here. This lecture lasted too long on images, but let's go ahead and select. And unfortunately, the lecture on images isn't done there. We'll get back to that in Design Essentials playlist. If your image is a 1:1 ratio, which is 640 by 640, you don't need to do anything here, and you again select Crop Image. Blocksy is going to create a duplicate of your image. So you will see later in your media library, there will be two of these. So it will be the original one plus this one that you've created for the Favicon. Under site identity, you will see Printco, all your printing needs, and then the image over here. And it even gives you that little bit of a display of how they think it will look at the top. Look here at the top. You see, already changed that. But we have to save. And every time within the theme customizer, the save is called publish, right? And then once you have done that, let's go to the front end and refresh the page. And look at that. No time that is updated. Very important step. Back to Blocksy, and to exit the customizer, you click here on the close X in the top left corner, and that takes us back to WordPress. We're getting close to creating our first page, and for that we're going to use the Brizy builder. We do that in the next chapter. Before we install the Brizy builder, one important thing to understand. Within WordPress, there is an editor in which you can create your content. You can create text, you can bring in images, and you can build out a website page with the WordPress editor. Many people prefer to avoid that because it's not good enough for a lot of the stuff we want to do. And therefore, we use third-party products that have amazing features, and one of them is Brizy. There are so many on the market, and you can do some research on it. Look for page builders or site builders or Gutenberg editors, but we just want you to have the experience of getting your page up and running. I recommend Brizy for the pure purpose. This one we are using is free, and it's really a great interface to work with. Whenever you bring in something to enhance the WordPress experience, that is a plugin. So we're going to find the free version in the WordPress repository. To do that, go to the navigation sidebar on the left and Plugins, select it. Click on Add New. And in the search bar, select or type Brizy. And there will only be one Brizy. And like before, the first thing we have to do is click on Install Now. It's been installed, but we still need to activate it. Note that after I activate, Brizy will also get a little house here in the label in the navigation sidebar on the left. Select Activate. And there we have Brizy. You can select it. Go ahead. You cannot really break anything when you're working with it. I think people are often like, can I click there? Can I click there? When I was at university, and I think it was computer skills or something we did back then, right? It's all like, oh, big thing, this new thing called the computer. People were terrified, they were typing like this and they were taking for minutes and sometimes hours to decide whether they wanted to click or something or not. You really cannot break this. No, you can, but you are practicing along. The worst thing that can happen is that you have to start from the beginning. And because you are practicing, that isn't the worst thing. It's actually a good thing to do it again. You've clicked on the Brizy label and you have this little notice at the top, and you're going to see notices all the time in WordPress. Every time you bring in an installation of a third party, they will have something that they want to tell you. They want you to sign up or give them permission to track your data. So it's a good thing to read this and understand what they are saying. What these guys are asking for is a rating. So please, if you use us and you liked what we did, give us a rating. So, okay, you deserve it. Then it will take you to the rating area. Or maybe later. For me, I don't need to do that. I've already done that. I can click here on I already did, or you can just select the close button in the top right corner. But don't be fooled by that close button. Many of these little texts, you close them and next time they're back. So if you have an option here like I already did, rather select that and it will take away. But it's not something that should really bother you. You can have a look here. Under Brizy, you have settings, stories, templates, leads, tools, starter templates, and GoPro. You don't need to make any changes here. What has happened is that Brizy has been installed. It's ready to be used. And that means we can actually start building our site and create our homepage. For your website, this page that we have here in the front, which is the web page. And if you go into our WordPress friend, you will see that we have pages. Why this is important is that when you want to create blogging, you're not going to create a blog with a page, but you're going to create a blog with a post. So both of them are very similar. They can contain content, but at the same time, they're also not similar. In the fourth module in this WordPress series, we look at blogging, and then we will deep dive into posts and how you create that to make your blogging site, your news site, and you can also use posts for anything else like creating a recipe site. And then I'll explain to you why you will want to use a post for your news and not a page. But because this page is fixed, we're going to put the content there. It's going to stay there. No changes until we want to update it. We are going to use a page for that. We often say the page is static. The content doesn't really change. Select pages, and at the very beginning we had 2 pages here. We had deleted that, and now we're going to create our own page. Click on Add New, and we're going to call this page Home. We're just going to have this one-page website, but we want to give it a name because it's a home page, so we just give it the name Home. Every time you create a new page, you're going to get this little welcome screen to the block editor. This is the WordPress editor, and it explains a little bit to you how this editor works. Again, when we get to blogging, I'm going to show you everything here because I do use this editor for blogging. But when I want to create pages, I don't use it. I will go for something like Brizy. So we can go through that. And now the first thing we have to do is give our page a name. There it is, add title, and I'll type in there home, and then I'm going to save it. Again, we select publish here in the top, and WordPress will tell me, hey, are you sure you want to publish this page? Why is WordPress so concerned whether I want to publish or not? The reason is publish means that this page goes live into the wild. If somebody has your website address by mistake and they type it into their browser, they're going to find this page, whether you have designed something or not. And that is why WordPress is really checking with you. Do you want this page to go live? I'm going to say yes. So you're also going to say yes and click on publish. And then close there on the X. What I want to show you though is that you have this option here, switch to draft. Go ahead and click on switch to draft. And then you say, are you sure you want to unpublish this post? Let's do it. Say okay. Now we have unpublished the post and it is saved. It is now a draft. This means that you can make changes here in the back. You can bring in new content. You can do edits. You can add images. You can add text, but it will not appear to any visitor to your site. For us who are doing this practice, we really don't care about drafts at this moment. So we're going to keep it in publish so that we can see what we are doing on the front. Go back and we click on publish, and then it will ask me again, are you sure? And I'll say, yes, I'm sure I want to publish. Close that. And now we have created this page. To go back to WordPress, you select your icon, and you can see at this moment, it is your favicon that appears there. If you didn't bring in the favicon, it will be a WordPress little label. Click on that and it takes you back to WordPress. The pages are open and you see that we've created this home page here. What I want you to do is below that, you will see we have these quick links: edit, quick edit, trash, and then view. I want you to click on the view, select it, and it's going to open a view of your home page. And you can go back to WordPress by selecting either print code there at the top, the name of your site, or you can select the W. I'll just click here on the little dashboard meter and we select pages again. And that's how you can quickly view the page that you've created. We created this page. We've created this page that we called home, but we could have given it any name on earth. It doesn't mean it's a home page. It's just a page. But how can we make sure that when people come to our site, this is the page that will show up when they type in our address? And the way to do that is we just tell WordPress, hey, this is my home page. And to do that, we go all the way down to settings and we select reading. This is confusing, right? Reading? We have to do reading? No, it's reading for your WordPress. This is just a word. You just need to learn this crazy word called reading. And then under the reading settings, it says here, your home page displays, ? And then you choose. Currently, it's set to your latest posts. But remember, I told you only in the 4th module, we will look at the posts. In our case, I want to use my home page, which I explained to you is static. The content doesn't really change. So there is a static page. Let's do that. Select it. And then it's going to say, for my home page, which page do you want? And if you look at the drop down, there's only one choice. Why? Because we've only created one page. We didn't create any other pages. And now, by doing this, select home, we are telling WordPress that this page, home, is the page that should be presented to people when they come to my site. So this is the page we will be creating. And I want this page to appear whenever people type in my website address. Once you've done this, the golden rule is to make sure that you save the changes. Otherwise, it's not locked in. And now when you go to the top and you select print code and you go to the front, you will see it says home at the top because that is the page title. Let's go back to WordPress, click on the top. And let's just open another preview. I forgot when did I close mine. Hold down Control, Command on your keyboard and click on your website name and it will open a front-end version of your site. With that done, we can bring in a featured image for our homepage next. A featured image, what is that? Let me first show you where it is and then I'll explain to you what a featured image is. Go to Pages. And then click on Home or click on Edit. Either of them will take you into the page editor. And here we still have this empty page, nothing has been created. On the right, which we refer to this thing as an inspector, you will find an option called Featured Image. This is like the cover for your page. Imagine you have a book and your web pages are the book, and then this will be the cover for that book. Click on Set Featured Image and this opens the media library. And I've created a featured image for you. And it's this one here with the two guys talking and our logo over it. And you can select that and then you just click here on Set Featured Image. Again, here it will be very important that you bring in the right title as well as alternative text. So the name of the company, as well as a short description like printing needs or professional printing, and click on Set Featured Image. Once you do that, you will see that the image will come in. And remember to update. Whenever somebody shares your website address on Facebook, Instagram, or other social media platforms, you know that there is an image that appears. And that image that appears there is the featured image. If you don't have anything, it may be blank, or what that social media will do, and WordPress, they will decide, let's just grab a random image from your site and display it. And that may not always be the image that you want to appear in Facebook. So the featured image, you need to think a little bit about it and design it properly. Even go and think of the aspect ratio of that image. And even here, you see there's a little blue dot. This blue dot is what we call a focal point selector. If I put it here on this chart that you see here on the left, then this part will always remain the center focus as much as possible. Because I have designed this image to be correct for all social media, I will leave it in the middle. And the reason, and there's nothing more we have to do. Having moved it though, we just need to click on Update again to save everything. And that is the featured image. But that's not the only thing on social media. Let's talk about the excerpt next. Below the featured image, you will find the option for an excerpt. It says optional. I recommend you write something here. Go use ChatGPT or whatever to come up with something. Keep it short, 1 or 2 sentences. Again, when somebody shares your website address on social media, it will give the image and it will take the text from the excerpt. That's why you have to think very well in advance what you want to say here, like best printers in Shellytown, professional, quick, and friendly. Keep it as short as possible, make it descriptive so that when somebody shares this on social media, then you have a good image of your product as well as what your site is all about. So let's say update. And one thing you have to understand about all of this is not always immediate. So I've added the featured image here and I have created this little excerpt. But if I were to take my link and quickly hop over to Facebook and throw it in there and post it, you may get nothing. And the reason for that is sometimes it takes all of these big brains, and the machines to go through the process and all of that to click in. So you have to give it a little bit of time. So far, we haven't built anything, and you may be getting a little bit edgy. When are we going to start building the page? But all that I'm showing you now is really important to get done at some point when you are creating your website. Your featured image, your excerpt, your site title, your favicon, all of these things. I do recommend that you make a short list of them and you do it at the beginning where it is possible. Because these things just happen once. You just change the featured image maybe once. You just set a site title once. And because you don't do that more often for a website, you forget. And that is why I can find so many websites so often that didn't make those changes. Still has the WordPress Favicon, still have just another WordPress site, and just try to avoid that. But we want to start building our page. Let's leave this tab open in the front. We go back into the WordPress editor. We are going to use Brizy to build out the content. And having installed Brizy, you will see here in the toolbar at the top, there's a button, Edit with Brizy. And we are going to select that. Let's do that. And this opens the Brizy page builder for us. Once you go in here, it's going to look worlds apart from WordPress. And that is the warning I always tell people. WordPress is such an open field to play with that every little plugin you bring in, it has their own interface. So you have to learn each interface again. The difference is this one is 1,000,000 times easier to navigate and use than actual WordPress. The setup of this user interface is marvelous. So you're going to find it's really a breeze and easy to use it. Sorry for that. What we want to do here though is also get this page ready. Because I've clicked Edit with Brizy, go to the front, this one that is open, and click on Refresh. And wait, where is my heading? Where is my page title? Aha, this has disappeared because we are now editing in Brizy. And if you go back into Brizy, there's nothing on this page. And it's because we see this block that says start building your page. It tells us there's nothing. There's no header, there's no footer, there's no page title. And that's why it is empty. What we want to do though is we want to use the header from Blocksy and we want to use the footer from Blocksy. And to do that, we have to tell Brizy, hey, this canvas that you give us here, please give us the Blocksy canvas. The page can be yours, Brizy, but the header and the footer, that we want Blocksy. And that's very easy to do. Go to the sidebar here of Brizy on the left, and you will see there's a little page icon here in the bottom left. Click on that and note that we already have the featured image here. Great, so you can even put the featured image here, but we already did that in WordPress. Brilliant. And then we have page template. It's set to Brizy template, and that's why everything is clean. But what we want to do is use the Blocksy theme, and that is then referred to as default. Default means the WordPress theme template. So select default, and the page will reload, and then we're going to see the header, the page title, and we're going to see again the footer. There we go. So all of this content that you see here at the top, this here, this we have to thank Blocksy. And then here at the bottom, who do we need to thank? Blocksy. Because Blocksy and Brizy, these two names are so close, I often find after when I edit the videos that I mix it up. So apologies for that. The theme, the header and the footer, this is Blocksy, but this area here, this one is Brizy. That's going to be the page. Great. So let's clean all of this and exit. And now we are going to be working within our Blocksy canvas. Let's just jump to the front end again, where we currently have this empty page, and reload this page. And you see our header comes back, our page title with this excerpt that appears there also appearing. And then we have our footer. Let's take a little bit of stock where we are currently in our WordPress Starter course. We have created a page. We called it a home page. We assigned it. We installed at the beginning Blocksy. We installed Brizy. And then we went into the Brizy builder, which is this one over here. And we changed the canvas to allow us to work with Blocksy. Right, let's just go to the front. And I'll just use my painter tool here again to give you an idea of what is what. This up here, this is the header. In the header, you have the logo, you have your menu links for navigation, and maybe you have a few social icons there. Below that, we have the page title. Nothing extraordinary here. And you can see even our little excerpt is appearing here. And then at the bottom, we have the footer. This one is not very imaginative, but you can add a lot of stuff in the footer and make some cool footers within Blocksy. And these three, the header, page title, and this footer is controlled by Blocksy. Any changes that we want to make to this, we are going to do that within Blocksy. On the other hand, this here, which is our page content, this is all done here, where you see that blue little with the plus, that's where we're going to start that. What I want to do is first focus on the header and look deeper into the header builder. In the WordPress Crash Course, we ran through this builder in lightning speed because it's a crash course. But you could have probably injured yourself along the way with that alone. So let's dive into that and then figure out a little bit more about this header builder. The header builder is in Blocksy, and whenever you want to make changes to the theme, you have to go into the customizer. And you can see here in the WordPress toolbar, you have a shortcut to the customizer where it says customize. Click on that and it takes us into Blocksy. We're going to take it really slow here because this is a Hercules powerful header builder and footer builder. And this overview in this chapter is just to let you understand how this header builder works. In the old days, the themes didn't give us a builder. It gave us a header and you couldn't do much, maybe change a color or something. But now, latest themes give us the ability to do a lot. Take your cursor and hover here at the top and you will see it says main row, but don't click. Let's rather work here in the options sidebar on the left under general options. And these are all the options that you have within the theme. You see we have general, header, footer, sidebar, the list goes on. We start at header and we select it. And this opens the header builder. You will see we have a new panel that opened here at the bottom. Hover over it, you see top row, main row, and then bottom row. Go to main row and you will see it has a logo here on the left, and on the right it has menu 1 and search. These are header elements, and the elements you get from this section here on the left. You can see logo, menu 1 and search are grayed out because these guys have already been used here, so you cannot use them again. You still have the ability to use account, button, HTML, and the other elements that you can bring in here. If you use Blocksy Pro, you get even more elements that you can bring in here. What I want to do is start with a clean slate. Go to the logo, and this X is the delete. Click on it. It goes out of the header builder, and you will see logo is highlighted now. You can use it again. Do the same for menu 1, delete it, and the same for search. Also note, now that I've deleted all of this, up here, there's nothing. Previously, when I hovered here, it says main row. I cannot even see that. How the header builder works is that you have 3 areas. You have the top, the main, and the bottom row in which you can place these elements. If any of these rows are empty, then they will not appear. And because all 3 of them are empty, we basically don't have a header. What I want you to do, just to play around, is take these elements, click, hold, and drag, and bring them in. You will see that for each of the rows, you have 3 places you can place them. Here on the left, put the account there. And you see there's a little icon for the account. Click, hold on the account element and drag it, and you can put it in the middle. And it moves to the middle. Same thing for the right. So let's leave it on the right. Go to socials. Let's bring in the socials. Click, hold, and drag. You can do the same. Drop it there on the left. Drop it in the middle. And then you can also put them next to each other. Click, hold on socials and drag it next to account. These 2 are now nicely next to each other. And if you want to switch them around, you just click on account and you drag it again. This is how you build it out. Remember, we are in the top row at the moment. Let's put something in the middle row, like a menu. Go to menu 1, click, hold, and drag, and let's put it in the middle. We are not designing the best website in the world here at the moment. We are just seeing how this header builder works. Go grab a button, click, hold, and drag, and take it to the menu builder, and you will see that you have basically 3 options here when you work with anything that is centered. You can put it adjacent to the menu, or you can put it just on the other side is another position you can place it. What you've done now here by dragging it to this side is that what could be on the left within the main row in this column can be placed on the right. It's a different way, or you can just drag it next to menu and you still have this position open here. And let's do something for the bottom. Let's bring in a menu 2. Let's bring in search, drop it in the middle, and we put the HTML on the right. And let's bring in the logo and we put it there at the top. And you see all our header elements have been used. Play around with this, get used to it, and understand how it works. It's really fun to work with. If I think of the days in WordPress where I had no such flexibility, or when this was only a premium feature, this is all for free, Not sure you can ever appreciate how grateful I am for that. Apart from bringing in these elements, all of these elements have settings. And there are there are 3 ways you can enter the settings. Let's look here quickly at the socials. Go to the socials on the right. Click on the element as it is here, and you will see in our sidebar all the settings for the socials open here. Go back by clicking on this arrow, and you see these are the elements. The second way is to go to the socials here, and as it is grayed out, you can click here on the arrow to the right. It gives us the same. Click back, and the third way to do it is to go to the header here at the top. Go to socials, and you will see this little sideways balloon. Click on that. Same thing. And you can do the same for the rest. If you click on search, settings open, button, settings open, account, etc., etc. That is half of the header builder. The other half is what you see here in the bottom, tablet/mobile header. Select that, and our display screen becomes a tablet. And this is also indicated here with the responsive view controls. When you are designing for tablet and mobile header, I would probably put it here on mobile. That gives you a much better idea of how narrow the canvas area will be for the mobile. Observe that the header builder has changed. And remember, we had brought in all those elements, but now they've been removed. Actually, they've not been removed. They are not part of this header builder. So the 2 header builders, the one for desktop and the other one for tablet and mobile, are different. And you can set them up differently so it is responsive. That's the whole idea here. Just click back here on social so we can get to this area for the mobile tablet header. And let's have a first look at what is different here. The first thing you will notice is that we have this box here that says the off canvas area. Now, Jenny, what is the off canvas area? The off canvas area is that panel that slides out when somebody clicks on the menu trigger. Now, what is the menu trigger? We often refer to it as the hamburger. This little icon up here, you've seen it on devices a million times. It's the hamburger menu, and in Blocksy it's called the trigger. What the trigger does, it opens the menu or the off canvas. Click on it, and you see we have this area that slides out. That is the off canvas area. Great. And in that off canvas area, we have a menu, and the menu is called mobile menu. Close it, you have an X there. And then you will see we have again 3 rows, top row, main row, and bottom row. Let's just bring in these guys in so you can have a visual understanding of how all of this will look. Search and socials. Let's put the socials in the middle. And HTML. I don't think the HTML does anything, but let's just bring them all in. Right, there we go. So you can see we've got the 3 rows. We've got the elements in it. And then for the trigger, we have the off-canvas menu. And you'll see we have off-canvas logo, which we can bring in here. And this way you build out again your header and the off-canvas menu or area for your mobile devices. Let's delete these, and I'll go and delete all of those that I've brought in by clicking on the X. I'll leave the trigger, I will leave the logo, and I'll delete it. And as I remove elements from the top row and the bottom row, you will see again we're only left with 1 row here, the main row. Go back to desktop header, and one more part here that gives us a lot of control over both these header builders are the styling of each of the rows. Hover over any of the rows, and you can also hover on page. And then click on it. So I'll click here on main row, or I can click here on main row. But here I'll go ahead and click. And then we get this. We get the structure, how it will look. We can set a height, and we can design. We can give it a color. I'll click there and I'll just click a different color. But I'll keep it on white so we don't get lost in this tutorial. You have borders that you can apply, and you can apply a shadow as well. All of these have that ability. And if you go to the tablet and mobile header, you will see the same options. Design options exist even for the off-canvas area. Here you can also change things in the off-canvas area. If I open the drawer or the off-canvas area, I can make it on the left side, can put it on the right side. I can make it a modal, which is like a pop-up, full screen, but we'll leave it on the settings as is. One of the things that if you make a mistake or you put a setting here and you want to go back to the default state, I'll put it here on the left side. Note in Blocksy, there's always this reset option here. When you select that, it will take you to the default state as Blocksy is loaded. I have to click on those things all the time because I mess up all the time. Many ideas, not many of them can be executed. Go back to the desktop header and let's just take away all these buttons that we had previously. I'll just clean them all out by deleting them all first. Let's do that. Close them out. HTML. And we bring in a logo like we did before, or we had before, and we put it in the main row on the left. And we'll bring in menu 1 and we'll put it on the right. And that's all I'm going to add. I'm not even going to bring the search button back. This modal is still open, right? So we have the menu logo and the menu. And then for our tablet and mobile header, we also have a logo and trigger and the mobile menu. Before exiting, we publish. Now that you have saved it, you can exit by clicking on the X. The customizer has a sticky memory. This means that when you click on the close, it will remember where you loaded it from. Remember, we were on the front end of our page builder, and then we had customized it from the WordPress toolbar. When I click this, it takes us back to the front end. And the only change we've made is we have removed that little search icon. I'll prove it to you. Go to our previous tab and you'll see this is where we started with that little icon still open. If I refresh this page, you will see that Brizy will load the Blocksy template again for us, and that little search icon will also be gone. Be gone, I say, and indeed, it is gone. We'll stay a few more moments with the header in the next chapter by bringing in the logo and see what you can set there within that element. Nowadays, many times on the website, you will only see a logo at the top. You won't even see a menu. So logo is probably the go-to thing that needs to go at the top of your site. That is done within the theme because it's in the header. I'll go again to the front end because I want to access the customizer. We click again on customize. You may be hoping that there is one way that you just click on customize once and you never go there again, but get used to going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the time. This is how it works in website building. Go to the header area on the page, and remember we only have a main row. We've placed these two elements inside the main row, and then we have a logo that we've put on the left. I don't need to go here and click header and then the element and then the settings. All I need to do is hover over this area, which is the logo, and then click on the sideways balloon and it opens the settings for the logo. We start from here. Select logo. I will select that. And over here, this is our logo that we will be using. I'll click on select. Nicely, it brings in the logo for us and you see it puts it there. But now what is this nonsense down here with the print co? What Blocksy logo element does is giving us the site title as a stand-in logo, right? It fears that you may not have a physical image that you're bringing in, so you can use the site title. And that's what you see over here. Simply deactivate it and it will remove it. Note, you can also add your site tagline. So you can bring in all of these guys and all your printing needs appear here. And actually, that doesn't look half bad. I didn't do it for the demo. No, I didn't. But I think that looks actually pretty good, right? And then you have control over where the tagline will be visible. Do you want it displayed on your desktop, mobile, and tablet? And they are activated, all of them. To test this, you actually have to go into the responsive views. And then I'll go into this one. And I think the tagline looks good on all of them. Well, that is a surprise to me. Logo image position currently is at the top. If I put it to the left, you will see that our tagline will go to the right and the right will be the opposite. But the top really worked. Note that again, if you click here next to the desktop, you have control over where you want it to appear on the mobile device. Don't overlook these because I do all the time. Content alignment is going to look at this logo element like it is a box. Imagine it like so. Imagine this is a box. And what the content alignment is going to do is space these two on top of each other on the left, middle, or right. So have a look then. If I put it on the left, exit here first, on the left, nothing will happen. That is the default state. Both of them are on the left. Put it in the middle. Put it on the right. I also like that, but I like that better. Or you can simply click here on the reset. And that is how you set up the logo. If you go to design, you will see that we have here control over our font family, tagline color, and then the margins. Font here is going to become an important aspect because we have in our creatives and this document that I've shared with you, I told you these are the fonts, Palanquin and Palanquin Dark, that we will be using. But currently, this, all your printing needs, and even the home link up there isn't set to that font. In the next chapter, we're going to change the base font in Blocksy. The base font. What is the base font? Let me go show you. Click back here to get into settings and you click all the way back until you get to the options sidebar and you cannot click back anymore. What we want to do is change the font of Blocksy to Palanquin, which is part of our creatives, Palanquin. And we do that by changing it within Typography. Typography is the big word for fonts. Select Typography and there are so many that you can change here. You have headings that you can change, buttons, and you can set all of their sizes and their weights. All I want to do is change the font to Palanquin. If you are going to use one font across your entire site, you don't need to go and change all of these guys. You just change the base font. The base font it's like the fountain. That's where everything is sprouting from. Select the three dots or click here on System Default. I'll start with System Default and it opens up only the fonts for me to change. And then in the search box, I will type in Palanquin. It gives me the option between Palanquin and Palanquin Dark. We select Palanquin. Before I do that, note how the font currently looks on your page, including the title, including this excerpt, as well as the copyright at the bottom. Everything that is here is going to change the moment I click on Palanquin. And then Blocksy tells me this. Now, a few months ago, we never had this, but many countries, especially in Europe, isn't too keen on you getting free fonts from Google. Palanquin is a free font from Google, and they feel that there are some security risks with it. So we don't need to do that. You simply click on I understand, don't show this notification again. And click on Continue. And all the fonts have updated. That means if I just click here, all of these, heading 1, buttons, pull quote, etc., they will now be by default Palanquin. I don't need to go and change all of them one by one. And that's how you change the base font of your website. Click back to go to the options sidebar. Let's save it. And have a look then in the next chapter at the footer builder, which is a little bit different than the header builder. So the footer builder, is it that much different than the header builder? Not that much, Bobby. I think it's very much the same. In the sidebar on the left, you can select the footer option and you will see, wow, look at this. We have 3 options again. And then we have this. But wait a minute, we have things like widgets, widget area, and we've not even touched on widgets yet. We'll do that in module 3. But what we know is the footer menu and socials, and then you see copyright. Copyright is grayed out because copyright is already here. The main difference here is that if you click on any of these rows, let's select the middle row. Notice that now we have a column structure layout that you can switch. You can choose how the columns will look and how many columns. If I put 4, you will see I have 4 columns now here. I can go up as much as 6. And the reason for this is widgets, which we will talk about in Module 3, is infamous for loving columns. They gobble them up like nothing. This is the main difference between the header builder and the footer builder. But again, just like with the header builder, you can create 3 rows here. However, you know now that if we go to our elements, the elements are very different. And we will not cover that in this tutorial, the widget areas. Again, Module 3, I've mentioned that a few times. But let's look then at the copyright element, how that works. Copyright is one of those things that's at the bottom of each and every website, and I'm not sure if anyone actually cares about it. Click on copyright element and it gives you the copyright settings, or you can go as such. If you're at the front, at the options sidebar, click on footer and then select copyright and click on the little arrow to the right. What do we have here? First, you can bring in text here. You can link current year and you can say WordPress theme by and then theme author. Let's leave this first part. I think that's useful. We can use that. But then let's change this and I will say websites for beginners. And it updates nicely there as I'm typing. And that's more or less all you need to do. You can have a look here at the horizontal alignment. You can put it in the middle, to the right, you know. Vertical alignment, not going to do anything. So I'll reset it. And then you can also choose the visibility. If you don't want it to appear on mobile, you deselect it and it will not appear on mobile. But why not? Leave it on for all your devices and we go back to desktop. You also have design options here. You can change the font independently. Currently it is Palanquin. But let's say you want this one to be Palanquin dark, a little bit different. For some strange reason, you woke up this morning and you decided it has to be Palanquin dark. Then you can go here and it will only change it for the copyright area, not for the rest. Type in Palanquin and then you will see we have the option for Palanquin dark. Select that and it changes to dark. None of the other fonts are affected. Change the font size, click there on the pixels and let's make this 16. I'll just go up 116 and the line height 1.3, letter spacing, all of this is fine. And what about making all of this uppercase? Me like. That's just an option you have. For the font, you can simply click on the 3 dots and it will also give you this little screen in which you can make those changes. We will return to the header and the footer. But for now, we're going to start building our page. And that means we're going to go back into Blocksy. Before that, we need to save what we've done here. Click on Publish. To begin building our page, we need to go back into Brizy. But currently we're in our theme, so let's exit here. And it loads again the front end for us. But remember, we've made these changes, but this one that is open, we haven't made any changes to. What you can do is simply click here on Reload, and it will reload Brizy, and Brizy will bring in those new changes that Blocksy have made. I think it's important to get this concept that what Brizy does is independent from what Blocksy does, and what Blocksy does is independent from Brizy. For a final recap, when we talk about Blocksy and the theme, it will take care of your header, it will take care of your page title, and it will take care of your footer. Now we're going to say to Brizy, let's build the page, and Brizy says, I will take care of all the content on your page, which is the page. Time to understand the block manager and what you get inside the block manager when you work within Brizy. Start building your page, click here on the plus in the middle, and this opens, well, I call it block manager. it gives me blocks. And blocks are, well, pardon the pun, the building blocks of how you make a page. Often you will hear me refer to it also as a section, block, they're all the same. Let's select this one at the top. Just click on it and it will drop onto the page. And this is a block. You have this square and then you have content here, which is all the text and element, and you have this image on the right. Now, very important, if anything I do here you don't understand in terms of how I'm building it out, you need to go and do the WordPress Crash Course. There we build everything from scratch so that you can understand it properly. Let's bring in another new block, click on Add New Block, and have a look at what we've got here. Brizy gives us all these pre-made blocks, and I use a lot of them all the time. If it's in free, you're going to see some of them are locked. In fact, many of them are locked. And to bring them in, you will need to go and get a pro license. Many people will pay just for the pro license to get access to the pre-made stuff because it helps you save bundles of time and you don't need to overthink how to create new things. There are so many to choose from. And because of that, you have the categories here on the left. These are the popular categories that you usually get in making a website. At the top, you will start with hero. And then below that, usually features. And then you have a text area if you only want to focus on text. A call to action, which is mostly a button, a link that you click. And if you get bored of this design, you can switch to the dark mode. And it's often good to switch it up a little bit on your site. So the dark mode is like mirror of the light mode. And look, you've got others here like team. If you want to put your team out there, images for them. If you have testimonials, customers, and people who say something about your site. And just like the one I showed you, to bring any of these in, simply click on it. Let's choose this one. And it will drop it for us onto the page. And this image didn't want to load. Okay, not the end of the world because we're going to switch it out anyway. To remove any of the blocks, you go to the block settings and you click on delete, and then you can bring in an alternative. Curious to see if the next image will also not load. Let's go to team. Sometimes it happens on the time of the day. Sometimes it's that time of the day all day long. Let's see if these images come in perfectly. They were happy to join our little party. Let's bring in another block, and we are building out a page in no time. In the block manager, look here at the top. It says kit number 2. From the drop-down select kit number 1. Now, kit number 1 was the original set of blocks that came out when Brizy was released the first time. And at that time, it was revolutionary. Most builders didn't have pre-made blocks that you can use. Brizy was one of the very first to do that. Now, how these guys look in style is very different than kit number 2. Kit number 1, I would say, are base blocks to start with. And I actually like coming here all the time. Look at this one here. You know, if I look just at this is a very standard good block. And you will find that those go-to basics you're going to find in kit number 1. And just like with kit number 2, you can switch between light and dark versions. Look at this nice one with these little progress bars that we have. Okay, the colors are different because of global styling, which we'll be talking about very soon. Just by going through all the pre-made blocks, you have these categories. You can bring in your call to actions. Very soon, and this is kit 1. Let's switch to kit 2 and go back to call to action. What I was saying is, as we did in our first tutorial in WordPress Crash Course, we were actually building these out by ourselves. But what you have here is ready-made ones, ready to go, and you can build out an entire page with this. And all you need to do then is what we did in the first course. Module 1 is you come in, click on the image, and then you change out the image. Select the text, type in your own text, and you can change the background. Go here, and we change the color. Very easily done. For this one, I can go ahead and change the color to white, so it stands out a little bit better. And very easily, I don't need to make huge design decisions. I can just use these pre-made blocks. I just want to call out again that while I was clicking on this image and you saw what I did here, and you're like, wait, how did you do that? Why did you do that? How did you change it? If you don't know, you need to go and do Module 1 WordPress Crash Course. That's where you should start. If you know that, this stuff is going to be easy. I'm not teaching you in this Module 2 how to build. I'm teaching you other stuff. And that's what we'll be looking at very soon is the global styling, the colors, the typography, and how to move out all that content. And let's step it up then. Instead of pre-made blocks, let's talk about pre-made layouts. The first thing we're going to do before we look at the pre-made layout kits is we're going to clear our page. I can go ahead and delete these blocks one by one. There's a quicker way to do that. Go to the page options toolbar here in the bottom right corner and click on the options, and you see at the top we have clear layout. It will take everything out and brings us back to an empty canvas. Start building your page, opens the block manager for us. Go to the top next to blocks and select layouts. Layouts are entire pages categorized into themes, into industries, which you can use. Note and underscore the point I made in the previous chapter is that with these thumbnails on the right, as you scroll down, you're going to see they're all pro. And that's usually how it goes. Brizy is getting professional designers to design these pre-made templates for them. And that's why they are pro features. So if you want to use them, you have to pay for them. Here's one without a pro label. And you can go through the categories here. You'll see on the left, business, travel. None of this will help us because I can click here on health and beauty and they are going to be pro. The way we get to a free one is to select the free category there at the top. Select free. These are a few free ones then that you can choose. And most of them are single pages. Let's select the one here, Design Loft, and you will see it says one layout. Click on it, and it opens a preview and the importer for us. You want to see how the rest of this page will look. Take the cursor over to the left and just hold it at the bottom, and it will show you the entire page. And if you want to see the top, just move the cursor again up, and it will scroll up. Right, nope, we're not going to use it, so we click back to Layouts. Click again on Free. Let's look at this first one, birthday. It's a good one for any event. It doesn't only have to be a birthday, it can be other kinds of events as well. Scroll to the top and back to layouts, right. And click on free. The one we'll be using is this one called Web No. If I select it, note the top, note the countdown, look at the entire structure, and compare it to my demo. Can you see what I've done? I used that one. I added this gallery. I changed out the colors. I changed out everything else, and I made it mine. And that's what we'll be doing. Go back into Brizy. Lovely. And let's go ahead and bring this one in. What I want you to note, and then we'll work on that in the next chapter, is the color. Look at the color theme that we have here. We have almost very dark blue at the top. Then we have pink, and we've got the pink all over, and we have a specific kind of font. Down here, you click on the import button, but observe what's going to happen to the color. Brizy will go ahead and import it for us, but the color is not going to look the same. Here, the hero looks different. This is purple. The fonts are different. Here is the pink that we saw. But here we see purple again, purple, a little bit of a different gray background. This doesn't have that same dark blue. This is purple again. And this is our first step in changing out a pre-made template, which is global styling, colors. Next chapter. We've done a lot, yet it feels almost like we don't have anything to show for that yet. And remember, that is kind of the purpose of this learning track modules here at Websites for Beginners. Is not just to throw a quick how-to tutorial out there, but to teach you actually how to work with WordPress, to let it sink in, make it some muscle memory, so that you don't just do it one time and forget completely about it. WordPress has so many components that you really kind of need to practice it again and again. And what I try to do is from one module to the other, like Crash Course, Starter, then Core, is to try and switch it up a little bit how we do it so that you can get the same information from different avenues. What we are working towards is this section here. You can see here at the top, I've marked the header. We want this header to be transparent, but we're not there yet because we have a page title here. And the page title comes with the theme, which is Blocksy. And then the header, we need to make that transparent so it can overlap this hero section. The first thing we need to do is to get rid of the page title. And if that is controlled by the theme Blocksy, we need to go do it in Blocksy. That means we have to go back into the customizer. And I did promise you earlier, you're going to jump around. Right, so we go to the front end where it is still open, and I'll click on Customize because we need to go into the editor. Now, you can actually do this in two places. And the one is on the page itself, which will only affect this page. It means that you will remove the page title only on this page. Or the other way you do it is you do it for the whole site, and that's where you come do it in the customizer. Because we're working with only one page, we come do it in the customizer. So this is page, and this is how you always have to think about the customizers. Some customizers, their layout is horrendous. You really cannot find anything, and I wish people will sit up a little. Blocksy has done it very nicely. You are thinking page, remove page title, so look for page. And here you see under post types, you have pages. Select that, and then you actually see page title there at the top. If you click on it, it's going to give you all the styling options, how you can style it. Click back. We just want to disable it, so we untoggle it. And the page title should disappear. Now, we encountered this phenomena of this additional space that Blocksy gives us for free in our WordPress Crash Course. Let me indicate that to you again by drawing some smart stuff here on the screen. There is space there. And when I scroll down at the very bottom, there is also a little bit of space here with the footer at the very bottom, and then this footer that we brought in from the page. So what's going on here? This is something to do with the alignment within the Blocksy theme. You don't have to care about why it does that. You only need to care how do you remove it. From the same option settings here on the left, that means pages. You will see that we have this setting, content area, vertical spacing, and it gives you 4 options. This one is currently activated. This works if you work with the WordPress Gutenberg editor. The moment you bring in a page builder, doesn't matter which one, in our case, Brizy, it doesn't work. It adds those spaces there. Go all the way to the right and click on Disabled, and we've actually enabled a good website. Brilliant. Tremendous achievement. We've removed the page title. We've removed all that additional space that we don't need. And now let's go ahead and change our header so that it can become a transparent header. Transparent headers are very popular. There was a time you couldn't find them. All the headers were fixed to the top. But nowadays we love transparent headers. I always look for a reason why I can make my header transparent. And this used to be a premium feature. You couldn't get a WordPress theme that would have given you transparent headers for free. Since Blocksy and a number of other headers have made this standard, you can get it. So if you are working with a free theme that doesn't give you transparent headers, you should switch. We are still here on the pages within the customizer because headers are connected to the theme. We click back here to go to our option settings on the left. And because we are working with headers, select the header under general options. And from here, okay, we open the header builder. It's a little bit like, where are my headers? Over here, there's another tab, select that, headers. And then it says global header. What does that mean? Don't get too confused by this word. When you have Blocksy Pro, and you do another few installations of their add-ons, you're going to get the opportunity to create more than one header. So that's a nice little feature to have, but that, my dear friends, is a pro feature. We only have one header. It's called a global header. So we select the global header and it gives us two features which I really like. Let me quickly show you the sticky functionality so you can understand what that is, even though we're not going to be using it. Activate sticky functionality. And now when I scroll on the page, you will see that my header remains fixed at the top, even as the user is scrolling down the page. It is sticking there. It doesn't just disappear. And you have a few options, if I'm not mistaken. Let me have a look here. Okay, this is just the animation. And then you have a few options as how it will appear. The effect, whether it will slide down. Let's see that one. Okay, so you see it comes in, and often that slides in at some point in time, and we can do auto hide and show. So auto hide and show. I'm scrolling down, there's nothing. And when I go to the auto hide and show, auto hide and show. So you scroll down, and when you scroll back up, it shows, all right? We're not going to be using the sticky functionality, so uncheck that, but I may have piqued your interest and you may say, but I want to use it. Go ahead, try it out. Here we go, transparent functionality. That's what we want. And once you add it, you're not going to see any major things that you can change here. There are some conditions that you can add. You don't have to touch this. We only have one page. And then again, go check, do you want also this transparency on your mobile device? And then decide if you need it. You can deactivate it. We're going to leave it on the default. Observe what has happened on the page. Turn off transparent functionality again, just quickly. We get our header back at the top. When we brought in this pre-made template by Brizy, Brizy actually added over here a logo for this pre-made template, which is WebNo. We've decided to put that logo as a logo header, which is Printco up there. Now, it would have been wise of us that before we make this header transparent, that we just remove this guy so that it doesn't give us all these issues. And the issues I'm referring to is when you activate transparent functionality, it's going to overlap, and that content is going to move behind the header now. I want you to understand this problem because when I'm going to save and exit and we go into Brizy, you're going to see it's really a challenge to get that logo out. But I'm going to show you how easy it actually is to get it out. Sometimes we run into a wall and we think it's a wall, but it's actually a gate just around the corner. And this is one of those cases. So publish it, and then we exit by clicking on the X. That takes us to the front of this page. Let's just go back then, and you see we still have the original state here because the Brizy builder hasn't populated the new information. How do we do that? We refresh the page and we get that ghastly looking header and hero block at the top. Right. Now, how do we remove this WebNo logo at the back? The problem is, as I hover over it, I'm actually hovering over the header, so I cannot get to that logo. And here comes in that creative spacing that you need to do. This is your block. And as we had learned in the Crash course, you can go to the block settings in the top right corner, go to the settings and styling, and then you can add space in the top of the block by increasing the padding. So go to the padding, the top one, make sure they are all detached or uncoupled. Grab that slider and drag it up and see, as I do that, I'm adding space at the top of my block. Now what I've effectively done is I have brought this under the header so I can work with it. If 100 pixels aren't enough, you can type in a value, and I'm going to type in a crazy value there. And then after I've removed the logo, I'm going to reduce the value. I'll type in 200, and this brings it nicely out. Click outside to close that and hover over here. So at the top we have two columns. Here we have an image, and in this one there's a spacer. Below this there's a spacer, and then we have our content. First thing, let's just remove these two columns. I'll click on the column and I'll click delete, and now there's one column left. Go to that column and click delete. From here, go back to the block settings, styling, and we reduce the padding at the top, and I can take it down. I'll put it around here on 30. Let's put it on 30. Now, where does this spacing come from that we still see here at the top? Remember, there is a spacer that's providing this space. What you can actually do is now just select the spacer and drag in the required space at the top that will make this hero section look good. And this is what the developers did from the beginning. It's great for you to learn this as well. This is why I love the spacer. The moment you go into the header section, you will be out of the block. You will not get the spacer. If I click up here, I'm not going to select the spacer because the header, the transparent header, is overriding our block. So you have to go down. The moment you see the outline, you can click and you can drag and put it on a space. If you want to know the value, let's see what we have here. 204 pixels. Let's make that a round number, 200 pixels. Type it in. The transparent header doesn't look good because we need to make changes to the color of our current template so that it can become this nice bright yellow. And this finally brings us to the thing that I've been talking about since we started this tutorial, and that is the global styling. The first global styling we're going to look at is the color scheme. How do we just easily switch out these colors without having to go to each and every one and change the colors? And then the second one is same for the typography. Isn't there an easier way? If I want to change the font from one font to another font, that I can do it one time instead of going to each of these and changing them out one by one by one, which is a drag. That global styling we're going to cover in the next chapter. Let's do that. For our chapter on global styling colors, make sure you've got the WordPress document with the codes for these two colors, the yellow and the maroon, that we will be using because we will need to bring them in. At the very beginning, when we brought in this template, I told you to observe when the template was still in the library, it had different colors. And then when we brought it in, the colors changed. That is because there is a setting called global styling. The global styling you find here on the left next to the paintbrush. And as you select it, you will see it says a current style, overpass, and then these colors. For this chapter on colors, we only focus on current style and these 8 swatches. Below that, these patches, these little blocks, swatches, we only focus on that because this is where the color and the style is determined. Every time you install Brizy, Brizy puts it on a default style called overpass. You can see there are the 8 colors that is being used for overpass. They also include other styles that you can go and choose. Magazine, go ahead and select magazine. And look at what happens to your page. You see the fonts change and you see the colors change. Let's go a little bit downwards here and make it like so. Under magazine, we have graceful. Again, we have color changes. Very gracious. Ashen. Observe those changes. Let's go to something crazy. I remember one. Which one are we going to go for? Chubby. Okay, chubby. And then Oblivion. You can go through all of them. And let's move to the top and just select overpass again. This, though, is not the theme that we see here. That is the same theme when we saw it in the library. Let's go through that process one time. Go to the page options toolbar in the bottom right. Select and select clear layout. It's going to remove everything and we bring that page in again. Start building your page. Go to layouts. Select free, and then we select Web No. And you can see Web No has these pink colors and the dark colors, and that's not the colors that the default colors theme gave us. So how do we change that? Before you click here on import, Start with the colors that the developers gave you. That will also give you the fonts that the developers gave you, and that will give you a good indication of what you want to achieve with your page. And then select here, replace global styling. And what Brizy will do is now it will import the page, and it will also import this global styling scheme for us. Select and click import this layout. And there we go. This is now the colors that we want. But yes, in my not being wise enough, you see the logo is back because we imported the same page again. So I'll quickly go through that process again, move that up. We delete this one. Delete it, and I'll go to this block and I'll delete it. And then we put our padding back. Styling around 25. Let me just type that in. My dragging skills aren't very good, and I'm going to leave that. Here we are where we wanted to be. Go to the styling on the left, and you will see the current style is now set to Web No. If you select, you will see Web No as a style has been added here at the bottom. And now, there you go. This is the original style that you had seen. The colors on this page are tied to the colors here. If I select this button and I click on the color of the button, you will see there's a white little box around this swatch. It means this color was selected, which is set here. Go to our block, go to the colors or the overlay, and you will see the overlay is set to this swatch, which is this one here. Scroll down. Let's choose the icons. Select the first icon, color, and you will see that the icon color is this pink. Same swatch. Scroll down, you see pink, more pink, more pink. And I think you kind of understand what has happened here. And that is that all of these colors are tied to these swatches. Even the text, I'm pretty sure. Click on this text here, the gray, and it's set to this one, second from the right. This pink one, select it, click on the color, and you will see it's not even selected. So this color was brought in automatically, and that means that it's not tied to any of these colors over here. Now we are going to change out the colors finally to the colors we want, which is the yellow and the maroon. So we go into our document. I'll highlight the yellow code, copy that, go back, and here under styling, we go to the first one, which is the pink. I'll click on it, and then I'll type in, I'll select and paste. And now we have changed everything that's pinked, except this one didn't change. Right, so we have a few color changes, but we're going to mix it up soon. Let's go to the next color, which is the maroon, and we select maroon here, copy that, go back, and then we choose this dark blue, and we make that one maroon. But this is nothing like what we have on the front. Again, we'll switch that out in a very short bit. What about the rest of these colors? There are still 6 left. The most important one here is this one, second from the right. This color here dictates the color of your paragraph of your text element. Every time you bring in a text element, go to the bottom, let's add a new block, create your own. Go to add elements and bring in a text element and drop it. By default, when you click on it, you will see it's set to this color. So whatever you want your main text paragraph color to be, it's always a good idea that you make that one there, second from the right, that color. I like the gray for this design, so I'm not going to touch it. Another color that's very important is this one on the right. You can put it anywhere you want, but it's always good to have a pure white. So if I click on it, you will see this selector is all the way to the top. That is a pure white color. And it's good to have that. The dark or the blacks that I usually use, they are here over on the left, but I'm only going to stick to this color. One more that you have to take note of is this little one here. This relates to icons. So whenever you bring in a new icon, we bring in a new block again, and I'll bring in an icon. And under the icon, I'm going to bring in a button. You see, they get their color from the third swatch on the left. Very important. I'll change the color here. Let's choose whether we want the yellow or the maroon. I'll go for the yellow. So we'll copy that yellow code again. And then I'm going to put that in and paste it. And you can see as I put it in, it changes. The reason I say I'll change this color here, because we're going to actually assign this haphazardly, not always the same color. Delete this block and we delete this block. And let's scroll to the top and make changes. Switch it up. Start here, go to our colors, and we put this one on the yellow on the left. Then because we have this light background, go to our button, select the button. Background for the button, I'm going to put on our dark color. And then for the border, I select none because I don't want that border to be there. Change the titles as well. Let's make this dark as well. Same maroon color. Click on this one as well, maroon. And then the same for the text. We change all the colors. And the reason you have to do this is because there's a line break in here, which I'm not too fond about, but nothing you can do. Then below this one, we're going to make a dark color. So now we can assign it to this swatch. Right. I'm not going to change anything here. This is also good. This is right. This is right. This is right. And look at that. I changed really so little. I brought in my global styling colors over here. I set them up. Those that were already assigned in the template switched just like that. And then I made a few calls. I didn't like the color up here. I changed that and I assigned it. Let me just put this guy. It's a place full of cats and dogs. Very many of them. So when your client says to you, I don't like this color, instead of having to go and then switch out the color for each and every instance where you had used that color, come to global styling, select the color and change it, and it will update across your site. Global styling colors, you get it? I hope you get it. Try and work with it. If there's ever an instance that you don't want to use a global style color, you just want to use that color in that instance, all you need to do then is go to the colors and add your custom name there, or choose it here from the selector, and it will not tie it to the global swatch. But I recommend try and go for the global swatches as much as possible so that you can easily make changes if needed. Control Command S to save your work. Next, under global styling, in the next chapter, we're going to talk about typography. This one a little tricky, but we're going to get the hang of it in no time. In website design, there are a certain style or a certain group of headings and styling, yes, that we use when we use text. And they've become very ingrained in the website design world. I'll go through that first and then show you how this relates to what we call the global typography. Create a new block and then bring in, let's say, 7 text elements. Yes, 7. 1, 2, 3. And we can count, but I'll get confused. So 6. I don't count out loud. I won't remember. I'll type the first one and I'll say paragraph text. Then select the next one. I'll type in heading. And for this one, you can just sit back with your cup of coffee and look what I'm doing so that you can understand how this works. Heading 3, then heading 4, heading 5, in opskrif nummer 6. There we go. Select the first one, go to the T for typography, and under typography, you will see it is set to a paragraph style. And that is because every time you bring in a new text element, all of them will take their style from paragraph. We go to heading, T for typography, and select from the drop down the one that says heading 1. We want to assign heading 1 to heading 1. Aha! We do the same for the other guys that are left. Heading 2 goes on 2. And this is how you build out a hierarchy of styles. But there's a little bit more here, which I will show you soon. Traditionally, when Brizy first started, this was a pure styling function. It means that each of these were a different style. This one was bigger, smaller, etc. Even the fonts can change. But then later, a tag was added to it. Click on this one, go to the settings, and you will see HTML tag H1. Every time you select a heading 1 style, it will also automatically give you H1. Same for heading 2. Go to the settings, H2, and so forth. I'll go to heading 6. On the settings, you will see it's H6. What is an HTML tag? HTML tags are ways for Chrome, Bing, and other search engines to find the structure in your website. Many people think it's not that important anymore, but Google actually said this year they still use structure. When you are structuring your content on your page, it's important that your main thing on your page is a heading 1. And then your subsections are heading 2. And any bullets under them are heading 3 and so forth. Google really likes that. Actually, many people break that rule all the time, and many people who design don't even know about it. But just be aware that this is how you assign it. One part of it is the style, how it looks. And the second part is that HTML tag. So leave that one there. Now I have these. Where does this style come from? Go to Global Styling, and those presets that you have seen, they appear here on the left. So we have paragraph, and then we have a few others, which I didn't go into. Subtitle, above title, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, all the way. If you recall, when we went into Blocksy, we also changed the font and we call it a base font. Unfortunately, Brizy doesn't have a base font. I really wish there was a base font, because all I need to do then is change that font and it will update all of them. Currently in Brizy, you will have to go and change all of these fonts. And the fonts we are looking for, remember, is Palanquin and Palanquin Dark. And you can reference that again in the document I gave you, the fonts Palanquin and Palanquin Dark. How we do this, let's go to paragraph. Select paragraph, and remember that's the paragraph text over here. And let's write a few more things. Write a few more things here so we can see the changes better. My typing is not too bad, and there I screw it up. Then go to Global Styling, select paragraph, and here we have the normal font options. Scroll until you get to Palanquin and select it, and look, it updates on the page immediately. In fact, anywhere on this page, like this one, what is this? Set to paragraph has now changed to Palanquin. I didn't touch it. I didn't change it to Palanquin. Global Styling Typography did the job. Thanks. Let's go back here, because also observe that you can change the font, you can change the size, the weight, and you can set all of that here. The line height, let's scroll to this one here. If I reduce the line height, you can see it goes down a little bit. I'll put it on 1.7. I like that. And then you see the paragraph is actually set to medium. I'll put it on normal. And this is how you make those changes to your global typography. Also, very important is that you can do this on a responsive basis. Here you have tablet and you have mobile. Just remember, when you make those changes, you're not going to see it here because this is the desktop view. So when you want to make this setting on a tablet and mobile, you have to also click here to tablet and mobile. I've put in a request that these all can be linked. So when you choose tablet here, it automatically goes to tablet. You don't have to go down to the bottom, but currently it's a few extra steps. I'll put it back on desktop. We'll only focus on desktop at the moment. Scroll down to the bottom. Let's see for the rest. Go here, and I'll go ahead and change all of them to Palanquin, the subtitle, and the above title, because maybe they were used here somewhere. Like here, what is this? Host person, click on that, and it's an above title, right? So they have used it. It's a good idea that you change them. My voice is going. Let's go then and start with heading 1. And instead of Palanquin, I'm going to put it on Palanquin Dark. Do the same for heading 2, Palanquin Dark, but below that, I'm just going to put the rest on Palanquin. Again, it would have been awesome if we had something like a base font override that could just apply the one font to all of them. But in this case, we're going to do them all one by one. And there we go. We've changed all of these. We can go to the top, see how this looks. And you can decide, do you want to change the size of the fonts? Do you want to change the letter spacing? You can do all of that. I just wanted to change the font. I think the rest of the settings the developers gave us are pretty good here. So what we've done is that we've changed our global styling colors in the previous chapter. Now we've changed the font, the typography. So in the future, every time we bring in something new we work here, it's going to be by default in Palanquin. We don't have to worry about that. Groovy. It's great. So we have made this our site by bringing in our corporate identity or our personal identity by the colors and then the fonts. But now we need to go and change the actual content. What shall we do first? Text or images? Let's see in the next chapter. We start by changing the text. Select all the text and type print. And what happened here? If that happens, click back and type print co deluxe company. And you'll see the color has changed. So let's go and just put it back here on the swatch. It's a little glitch that I've run into, not too fond of it. Now that I've typed it in, there's too much line height here. Don't change it here. Remember, this is part of your heading 1 preset. Go to your global styling, look heading 1, and reduce the line height. There we go, to 1.1. I like that. Below this, we have text, which is referred to as lorem ipsum. And I've also added you the link that I use, loremipsum.io. This gives you not random text, technically speaking. It gives you Latin text, which you can use on your page as a page holder. This already comes in with placeholder text. If you want to change it out, let's go to loremipsum.io. It gives us one paragraph. Let's generate 5 more paragraphs so we have more text. Highlight some and then copy and go back and paste. So select everything and paste it. And what has happened here? So what Brizy does, which I'm not too fond of, when you bring in text from any outside source, is that it used the formatting. There's gray there and the font and everything, and they paste that indirectly. Some people may be crazy about it. I don't like it. There are many ways you can clear this out, but I'll show you the easiest way currently. I wish there was a format clear option here that can clear this out. It isn't there. I really hope we get this feature because it will make it much easier. But what you do, and the first thing we have to do is undo this mess that we've created here. Undo, you can click here in the bottom right on undo or hit Ctrl-Command-Z, which I will do, and it gives us our text. Go back to lorem ipsum generator, make sure that you've copied the text, and then in the address search bar, paste it, Ctrl-Command-V, and then select it again, Ctrl-Command-C. And now you've copied it without any formatting. Yeah, that's a workaround, but I need to show you that. Select all the text here and paste it, and there you go. Let's just put it again back on our maroon. It's gone to black, which I don't like. And now we've changed that out. I've seen somehow, did I not type that properly? Print Code Deluxe Company. I think I've left something out there. There we go. And you can change here, contact us. I'll type that. Let's make it all caps. Contact us today. And then we go through all of this. I'm going to select everything, type in big. Big winter sale. And we have to put it on white in this case. I'll press enter on my keyboard and then I'll type coming soon. Then we're gonna change this out a little bit. So the big winter sale is set to a heading 2, which is good. Then we go to coming soon. select T for typography, and I'm going to put that on Palanquin normal, and then I'll put it here on uppercase, and let's reduce the size to 40 and increase the letter spacing to around 2. Now, what has happened is that because I overrode the settings, yes, I overrode, not overridden. I have overridden. I overrode the settings here. Suddenly I'm confused. The typography has changed to custom, and this tells us now that this is not tied to a global typography anymore. This is now a custom setting. Very important to remember that, because if you made changes globally now, it will not update this, it will remain this one. But we've changed. Let's add a little bit of space there at the top, so I'll increase the line height. Nice. So we have a big winter sale coming soon at our printing company, and we will look at this countdown in an upcoming chapter. Change the text here. What is the first one? We can say printing, prints. The next one can be design. And then they also have classes. So for people who want to learn graphic designs. Here is going to be an about us. Let's call this one learn about us. And look at that. I select it, I type it in, and you do the rest for that. You can bring in lorem ipsum text for that if you want to. If you don't like the text, for example, let's change this little paragraph here with some lorem ipsum text. Make it also longer. Copy. I'll paste it in the address bar, Control V. Then I'll select it, Control C. We go back, select all the text, and then paste it. And we build it out very nicely. Webinar sponsors, I'll select it all. Our proud partners, the kind of stock that we use. And then here we are having a little blurb about our owner, about, what's her name? Oh, Angelique McKay, not DK. So we're just going to call it Angelique McKay. Now I just want to type in McKay, and you can type there owner, visionary, select owner. There we go. Reserve your spot. Select this all. Talk. There it does it again. Talk to us today. Let's put that on this color. I scroll down and we can remove this block. In fact, we are not going to use the footer created with the template. We are going to use this footer at the bottom, so we can also go ahead and delete this. That's how you change out the text. You've seen that we ran into a few snags here. What has happened is that the developer who designed this used, in some cases, a hard hit, a return on the keyboard to break things into 2 lines. I'm not a big supporter of that way. And every time you selected that text, like we did here at the bottom, and you type, there is a glitch. It jumps, and then your box is empty, and the color is not the color we wanted. So if that happens, don't freak out. Do what I did. Just go back, type it in, and choose the color, and you're all set to go. You've then gotten rid of all those little weird things that may have come with the import. These are things that can definitely be improved on, but it's much better than having to design everything yourself. Great. Now that we've changed out the text, let's look at the images next. How to work with all of this, the building, go and watch WordPress Crash Course. That will show you everything how we build things in Brizy. Changing out then the images is very simple. We start at the top, we go to our hero background, we delete the current image that is there, click on image, and then from our media library, we're going to bring in what we've brought in. Since we uploaded our images, there's a host of other useless images here, and these are the demos that we brought in, the pre-made blocks and the layouts. These images have also been important. When you're done and you have taken care of all of them, you can come back and delete them. Here is our hero section, or our hero image rather, 01 hero, and we select that. And there we go. It's brought in perfectly. Scroll down. This is the next one, about us. And this is not an image element. If I click on it, there's nothing that happens. This is an image as a background for the column. You will see the column. Go to the column settings. And then on the left, we delete the current image. Then select upload. And it will be this one. It's this one that says about, number 3, not number 2. Number 3. And use this little dot to make sure that Ben Jordan, whoever, is in focus. And that's it. Scroll down. We go to our good friend Angelique McKay. Select the image, delete it, upload, and Angelique is over here. In the old days, when we wanted to make a circle image like this within Brizy, we used rounded corners, but we don't do that anymore. I don't recommend it. There's an easier way. The first thing we have to do is to remove the rounded corners. Go to the settings, styling, and then in the sidebar on the right, you will see there's a section corner and it's at 300 pixels. Just grab that slider and move it to the left. That's it. Then over to your image options, all the way to the left, click on image, and let's just zoom out here first. Right, good. Now she's zoomed out. Click on mask, and then select the circle, put it on fit. There we go. Now we've created a circle by just applying that mask. No need to go and mess around with corners. There's also a background image here. Let's go to the block settings. Here we go. Remove that by deleting it. And we bring in that big hero image for that background. It's this one. Printer background. BG is for background. And do we have any other images? Nope, that's it. And that's how quickly we switch it out. With your images prepared beforehand, that was quick. If you've done this a few times, it's going to take you less than a minute per page. Here in the top, we have a video element. It looks like an image, but it's actually a video element. So select it and you will see that little play option shows us that this is a video element. But it doesn't look like a YouTube video, though it is. If you select it, you will see that we have a YouTube link here. But what has happened here to keep consistent with this website, and sometimes you don't want the YouTube logo to appear, we have applied under under player, we've applied a cover image, a custom cover image. Delete it, and then you will now see that the original YouTube video shows. First thing we need to do is bring in our own YouTube link. Okay, I'm going to grab from anyone's channel that's anything to do with printing and simply select share and then copy that link. We go back into Brizy and then select our options under video and link. Select that and paste, Control V, Command V, and we get our new link. Now, actually, I don't think it's bad. The way it's written there, print shop tour and shop tour, if your video on YouTube does that, it's actually more impactful because it will draw people in with this text. But let's stick to the original design and bring in a cover image. So we do that. We go over to player, cover image. And then where did I bring in the YouTube? That was this one. No, that's 0. Okay, this one. 02, video cover. And then select it. And it gives us the video cover again with the image. And then again, it gives us this play button. Let's style out the play button to a different color. It's pink at the moment. Let's put it on white. And we put the play button, which is the icon, on maroon. And when you hover over it, it's already nicely done. And now we've updated our video. We've added a link to the video. We've changed the cover image, give ourselves a medallion, and move on to the next chapter. Who doesn't like a countdown? Sometimes countdowns give me the heebie-jeebies. This is the big winter sale coming soon. Here in South Africa, we are in the southern hemisphere. And I know everywhere I look, people will talk about summer sales. And everyone forget about us. We are not in summer. We're in winter at the moment. You can see. And I've got actually heaters on in the room. And that's why all the cats and dogs are here too, because it's so cold outside this room. This is a countdown element. And there are so many elements to build out your page. If you go to add elements and you scroll down to the content section, you will see here we have the countdown element. There are other great elements here that are free: icon box, embed, alert, counter, the progress, tabs, accordion. Some of my favorites though are pro. We will cover some of these pro features in the core evolved module. Here we already have a countdown element on the page and it's already styled. All we need to do is change the date. To interact with any element, select it, and then you have your options toolbar. Let's go to the left where the settings for that element always appear. Select it, you've got styles here, but let's not mess around with the styles because this is how it was designed. The only thing we want to do is change the date. The date is set to day, month, year. Very important to understand that, because if you go to certain countries like the US and many others, it's usually written as month, date, year. Here it is day, month, year in succession. Any date. Let's make it somewhere in June, which is just around the corner, and I'll delete. So let's say 11/delete, and then 6 is June. And we should already see, if I tab, 2023, need to change that as well. And it quickly changes. And then you can even determine what time of the day. It starts at 10 a.m. I probably want to put it at 12 a.m. at midnight so that it can happen as the day breaks in my time zone, which is set to +2. You have to go check here and put it on your time zone so that you don't get messed up. Good. And there you go. That's how you set up the counter. Very, very easy. You can play around with some of this. For example, do you want the seconds? I can select that, go to the settings of the countdown, go to advanced and deactivate the seconds. Design looks a little bit weird now. I do like the seconds here. When you only have days and it's not that many days, seconds are fine. And that's how you do the countdown element. Scroll down and we run into what we call icons. Select it and select icon on the left, and you will see this is where you bring in the icons. It's important to understand that you're working with a free version, and usually in the free version you are limited with the number of icons. I actually don't use icons that much because I feel they're all the same. I often try to bring in images instead of icons that I get from other websites. In this case, let's add something. Let's see if I type in print. Okay, there's a printer. And then select the next icon. Click on the icon, select there. And this one, we will see if there's design. Let's look for a pen. Yep, that will work. Use this one. And do the same for the third one. We call this class. No class. Education. No. Learn. No. So what can we think in terms of a class's room? Okay. That's bathroom. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Okay. And scroll down until you see this one here, which is also an icon. And this is a quote. So actually this quote here is pretty standard, but we can go for this one instead. It looks a little nicer. I'll even increase the size, go to background, and I'll just decrease the size of the background a tad. Icons, and those are the icons. Not to be overlooked is the icon box. The icon box is an element that combines an icon with a text element and a button element. I wish there were more elements like this in Brizy. So what you do is you can use all of these in one container without having to add them to columns. On our page, we have an instance of the icon box and they appear here. So it's great for lists. If I hover here, you will see we have a bounding box here, and that binds these two elements, namely the icon and the text together. You can change the icons here, go to the icon and switch it out again. Let's type in check. I'm pretty sure I'm only going to get one. Oh, let's go for something else. Let's choose the double check. And you will see the double check updates there. Let's do it for this one as well. Check. Just so you understand how that works. And to change out the text is the same way. List icon number 1 here. And then same for this one. List icon number 2 here. And that's it. That is the icon box changes that we need to make. Great for lists like these. You can change the color if you didn't want the yellow. You could change if you do it like so. Where's the color? Background. And there we go. And I'll put that, align it also, the icon in the middle. Nice. Icon box, everybody. Let's tackle the form element next. And we build one from scratch. And if you want to know where the element is from, you can go to the Add Elements, and under Essentials, you will find Form here. We have a ready-made one here with only 2 fields. One that's going to collect a text field just with the name, and another one for the email address. That's all we want. We want people to talk to us. We'll get back to them, not too much communication. It's a very easy way to collect emails, or what we refer to as lead generation. What I want to do though, before I do anything else, is put this little star there, asterisk, and then, click back, and bring in a text element under this, and to let people know that these fields are required. I think that's always a good indication. People should know, but we don't always know, right? And the font is on Pelican, great. Put it on italics, and I'll put it here on the right. Let's reduce the size a little bit. Good. Yep, that looks nice. Let's change our field. I think, let's see what is the font here. Is it on Palanquin? Yes, it is. Everything is right. What we need to do is click on the button and go all the way to the right. And now we need to set up what happens to this information once the visitor to our site sends that information. Where does it go? Currently, it will go nowhere. In fact, they will get an error reading. We need to set it up here in WordPress. And here we set the email address to where it will go. In the Pro version, some short codes that we can add here, and we'll cover that in the core evolved. But for here, this is what we're going to do. Add your email address there. This email address comes from the one in which this WordPress installation has been registered. You can add more by adding a comma and so on. If you are using a local host to test this on, just remember your local host will process this. So the email may not go to your inbox. This one, it will be processed within a box within your local server. Click continue and bing, bada, boom. That's it. That's all you're going to do. But you need to go and test it. Don't make the mistake I did. I put some forms on my site. I tested it. It worked. Then I made a few changes, didn't do the follow-up, and then it didn't work. And I didn't know it for almost 2 weeks. Go to preview it on the front, Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P, and we scroll to the bottom. Type in a name here. We call it Suzy Q, and then Suzy.Q at nevertheless.org, and reserve my spot, and we get a notification your email was sent successfully. Now we can hop into my inbox over at Websites for Beginners, and we wait in anticipation. No time. There it is. Nothing really spectacular about this email, and this is where the shortcodes come in very useful when you build this out, but you get all the information here. With the free builder, that's pretty awesome. And that is your form element and setting up the form so that you can start collecting that information. If you want the form to contain a few more fields, like maybe a subject or a telephone number, you can add those. I refer again to the Crash Course, the one before this, Module 1, if you want to know how to build this out from scratch. Almost done with the content on this page. Let's just bring in one more block from the Premade Blocks and image gallery. What we want to do is bring in a pre-made block with an image gallery. It will look like this one we have. This is the demo we are working off, and we're going to put it here between our testimonial and also our brand support over there. We're going to bring it in. And what I want to do is show you how to work with a full width, which we also covered in the WordPress Crash Course. Let's go, and at the bottom, add a new block, select it. On the left, click on Gallery, and we're looking for this one. There it is already. I didn't change out any images. I want to show you how to set this up. Let's select it. And because we set up the global styling, like the fonts and everything, it brings those fonts in nicely, no changes that we need to make here. To move it to the spot we want it to go, between the testimonial and the brands, we go to the sidebar on the left, and at the very bottom, we see it appears here. Click, hold, and drag it up, and we drop it in the place. Go to the settings of that block, configuration, and where it says width, select full, and it's going to stretch it all the way. And that's how we get this. The text, in my opinion, should never go all the way to the end of the screen. That's okay in tablets and mobiles. Even then, I would say preferably don't do that. In this case, I don't like it. We add padding. We're going to add some space here, and we do that by going to the column settings, configuration, styling, and then under padding on the left, it's set to 15 pixels. I will just switch this to percentage, and it moves like this. You can change the text here. What is this, a printer? See our work in action. And then change this tagline here or put in some lorem ipsum text. With the images, you select it, you delete it, and you bring in your new images. And just by adding a little bit more of this graphicness to your page, it just brings in more appeal. We have built out the page completely. This is where I am. This is where I'm going to stop with this page. It is important that you take it from the top down. You go through all the text here, you go through the headings. For example, here you will need to put in a testimonial from one of your customers or a family friend, change out the images, and go and put in the brands that you work with, HP, what kind of ink do you use, put them here. Get your owner to do a quote, and then share it with other people. Ask them to have a look. Having said that, I just saw a very important mistake here. I made this a full width block, but I also need to remove this padding at the top and the bottom. Let's go to the block settings, styling, and then our padding at the top, we drag to 0, and our padding at the bottom, we drag to 0. We could have just connected it here and made sure it's on 0. Lovely. Save our work, Control S, Command S, and our page is set up. Up next, we're going to anchor our call to action button here at the top to take us to the form at the bottom. This is our demo. When someone clicks here, it scrolls to the bottom of the page and it takes them to the form section. To do that, we go into our builder, go to the bottom, and we give this section a name from which we can identify it easily. I usually do that just for my own reference. Go to settings, styling, and then under advanced, we give it a name. I'll call this contact. Just type in small little letters, nothing fancy. Usually try and keep it to one word. That's not even necessary in this case, but I like to give it a name. Then we go to the top, we click on the button, and then in the options toolbar, select the link. And from the options, we select block. And this one is very simple. Scroll to the bottom until you see the thumbnail for the contact section and select it. And you will also see that the name contact appears there. That's it. You've linked these two. When people click on it, it will take them to the bottom. Let's just scroll down and see if we have any other buttons here. Nope, we don't have any other buttons except this one, which is linked to the form. Update the page. We go test it on the front end, Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P. Does it work? Yup, it works. There's a glaring omission in our tutorial so far, and that is that we haven't checked anything for responsiveness. We haven't checked how this will look on tablet or on a mobile. With a pre-made template, the one that we used, that we brought in originally, the hope is that the developer did a bang-on job at giving us those responsiveness features already. That is the hope. It's not the reality. Usually there are some changes you need to go and make. One of the reasons why this is not a reality is that oftentimes when this template was designed, it was done many generations ago. New features have been added, and those features may have had an impact on how it will look on tablet and mobile. Sometimes the developers overlook something. I've hardly found any template for any builder on the market that is 100% ready in the tablet and mobile views. These are still aspects of website making that's getting a lot of upgrades and attention. So be expectful. Is that the right word? So you should be expecting the fact that when we go into tablet and mobile, you're going to see that we need to make changes. Let's start with our tablet. Start at the top, and I'll go to our responsive view on the left, and we select tablet, and I'll go to the very top. I look at this. I think I like it. I think it is fine. We can reduce a little bit of this padding. I'll simply click and drag in the blue area. And at the top, I will select the spacer and also drag that. Remember, the great thing about the responsive changes you make here is only the tools that can apply here will appear here, and the changes you make here will not affect the others. If I look here at our countdown, I don't like this. It's really too stretched out, looks a little bit lanky. I'll select the countdown and let's see what we can do here. Go to the settings, and we have a height that is fixed at 175 pixels. Let's reduce that. I'll grab it and I'll just bring it down to 115. That looks much better. Scroll down, too much space here. So I'll click on that spacer, drag it up a little bit. These look fine, but something wrong with this one. Somewhere it got lost. What has happened, if I go to this column and I select it, you will see that the percentage for the column padding is 15%, and on this side, 15%. If I go to this column, you will see it's 0% and 0%. Somehow we lost the 15 and the 15. You can type it in, or you can do the following whenever you are working with padding and margins. I'll go to this column, click on it, then right-click on it and select Copy. It copies the settings, so padding, margins, etc. Then I go to this column, right-click and paste styles. And there it is, nicely fixed. Continue scrolling down. Here, do you see this little text here? This is something that will make me scream, but it's very easy to overlook this. This text is set to justified text. Justified text is text that go all the way from the left to the right, and it adds spacing to make it justified. This is not the way you do it for a website at all. Just never do it. We do it for magazines, etc. That's normal, but you don't do it on the website. It doesn't look good here, and on a mobile device, it looks even worse. Select it, and your justification, select it until you have everything to the left, so it looks similar to this one. Much better. Scroll down. All right. I like how this section looks here. We continue. This looks good. Here again, justified text. Click on it and make sure it is flush to the left. That's better. This little contact form here is too small. This space is added by going to the block settings, and you will see the width is set to 41. That's probably percent. So I'll grab it and I'll increase it, and we go to 60. That looks much better, and the button also looks normal now. And we just have a look again, go all the way up. Do we think it looks okay? And you see, we had to make quite a number of changes on a template that is ready. It's never ready. You always have to come in. Maybe the text you added is longer text than the original template, and that would have moved things around. And like I said, new features are added which affect the rest of the template. Scroll to the top, go to the sidebar, we select mobile. We do the same. From the very top, I'll select the text, T, and I'll reduce the line height. Okay, looks better. That looks fine. With this video, I'll click here on the spacer and I'll click on disable to take it away. We don't need that space. Then here, I'm going to reduce the space. We go to the next one, click on the settings, and I'll put the width at 100 because of this countdown. Then for the countdown, we go to the settings and we reduce the height like we did with the other one. This time I'll put it on 100. Select the spacer and drag it down a little bit. Scroll down. This is good. We want to keep it stacked. This image here is also fine. Go on, go on. What I will do here is just a design decision. You see all my content, my text is to the left, and then I get to this text that is center aligned, and then everything is on the left again, like this. So what I'm going to do, I'll click on all of them and I'll move them to the left. You're going to see it will just feel more in place with the rest of the design. Remember that important little trick. I can reduce some of this padding by dragging that up. That's fine. And in fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and move all of these to the left. Keep that design uniform. That shows us how we can go ahead and, oh, this I like in the middle. These I will keep in the middle. We went to the middle here, and I think the rest flows nicely, so that doesn't give me any concerns. Here it's also again on the left. Maybe we can put her on the left as well. That looks better. Ooh! Let's go to the settings of the block and grab the width and make it almost, let's make it 100%. And everything looks much better here. I'll just go to this, make sure it's 100, good. And we've tested the mobile. We've gone through it. You'll send it to your mother, you'll send it to your father, you'll send it to your family, and you'll tell them, please have a look. Check it out on your mobile device. Does it look good? And let them give you feedback. That's the only way. I often sit here, I'll tell someone, hey, here's the link. I'll send it to you on WhatsApp. Have a look. Can you tell me if everything looks fine? Mobile device is the number one thing you have to test. And there is our responsiveness done. To keep in line with what we did in the WordPress Crash Course, Module 1, we're also going to create a menu here at the top with jump links that will take us to the other sections on this page so that it will look like this demo that we have here with services, about us, and contact us. That's in the next chapter. To create a menu at the top that will act as links for the navigation on this page to jump to sections, we need to give these sections IDs so that we can create those menu links. We're only going to create 3. One will be the services, which is this section here. To give it an ID, we go to the block, settings, styling, advanced, and then block name. I'll call this services. Keep it one small name like this. Don't try and make too many names, and all small letters. Click outside. Then we do the next one, which is about us. This section, we do the same. Block settings, settings, styling, advanced, and the block name, I will just call it about. Like I tell you, if you don't have a complicated website, use just one word. And the last one is the contact us, which is this one. We have already given it a name when we set up the block anchor. So under advanced, you're going to see block name says contact. Save, Control S, Command S, or click Update in the bottom right corner. We've given the sections for which we want to create menu links, names. Next up is creating the menu in WordPress. I'll exit here in the bottom, go to More, go to Dashboard, and this will take us back to Pages within WordPress. And in the meantime, I will close these two tabs. And here we are back at the page which we started in very, very long ago. For the menu, we go into WordPress admin area. I'll click here on my logo in the top, hover down to Appearance and select Menus. At this moment, there's no menu. We haven't designed or created a menu. You need to create one first. And that's here next to the menu name. I'll call this one my main menu. There's only one menu. You could have just given it a name like menu. And I will say create the menu, and it's going to be created. And now we can bring in those custom links. Add new menu items, custom links, URL, add a hash. Every time you reference a section ID on a page, you use that hash. And the first one is services. The link text is the label. The title, you will give it on your page. I call it services with a capital S. Click to add menu. Next one, we add another custom link. First, the hashtag, and this one is about. My link text is about us. In the link text, you can type any text. This is like how people will see it. And the last one is a hashtag to take us to the Contact Us section, but we gave it an ID, a name that's only contact, and in the link text, we will call it Contact Us and add to menu. Remember, if you add something and these guys are not in the order you want it to be, you can hover over them until you see those 4 arrows, and you can drag the menu items in the order you want them to be. If you want to remove any of these, go to the drop-down arrow on the right, and you can select Remove. If you also want to come in and change the label at any time, do the same. Come down to the drop-down and put it there. Also have control here to move it down, like service. If you want to move it down, it will drop down, up 1, right? But it's much easier actually just to drag it. So services, about us, contact us, that's all good. The last thing we do before we save this menu is to allocate the locations where it will display. Blocksy, the theme, has a number of areas that you can display a menu. There is the header menu, the one at the top. And you can have 2 menus there. So you can design menu 1, which is this one. And then you can design a second menu, totally different, which you can add to the menu 2. Then you also need to tell Blocksy what should be in your footer menu. Do you want the same ones or do you want a different one? And on your mobile menu, what do you want there? Check them here. I want it in the header menu. I want it in my footer menu. And I want it in my mobile menu. Just remember this one, sometimes you forget and the theme will assign it automatically. But if there's more than one menu, the theme will get a little bit jiggy. And then you need to make sure that you have told the theme, hey, these are the places you have to use my main menu. And now that you've done that, you can say Save Menu. And it has been saved. Let's go view it on the front end. I will Control Command click here on my site. It will open a new tab in my browser. And look here at the top. Our menu appears there. And if I scroll to the bottom, nothing here. I haven't set it up yet. So nothing in the footer menu. If I click on services, it takes me to services. This is a very quick jump, which is something that happens when you work within the header in Blocksy. There's no smooth scrolling. If I click here on Contact Us today, you will see it's a nice little roll screen and a little bit of animation. Some people don't mind this hard jump, but often it feels like, whoa, how did I get here? Am I still on the same page? And to do that, to overcome this and bring in a little bit of smooth scrolling, you can bring in a plugin within WordPress. We go back into WordPress because it's still open here. Plugins add functionality to WordPress. And there are thousands of plugins. Click on the plugins. And currently we have 2 plugins installed. At the very beginning, we installed a Blocksy theme. But the Blocksy theme at itself is really good. But to have certain functionality like the transparent header, you need to also bring in the companion. It gives you options for more. Then we brought in Brizy. Now, Brizy is a third-party add-on for WordPress. And every time you bring an add-on in, it is a plugin. It's an app that you bring in. It enhances the functionality. Now, in this case, we have discovered that when I click on these links, I have these quick jumps. And this is a function within WordPress. I want this to be a little bit smoother. So I go into the WordPress repository, click here on Add New, search for something in the search plugins bar for smooth scroll. Let's just type in smooth scroll. And it will search through all the plugins and come up with a list of recommendations which may work for you. You have mouse wheel smooth scroll, smooth scrolling experience with mouse wheel, touchpad or keypad. Subma smooth scroll, very simple and lightweight smooth scroll plugin, never used it. And you check here the star ratings as well as how many installations. What I usually think is very important is when it was last updated. Some plugins you will find are years old, and that usually raises a little bit of a red flag. Do they incorporate the latest standards and code development within WordPress? I wouldn't go for things that are over a year old. Here's a smooth scroll back to top. We're not going to use this one because actually there's something like that in Blocksy. I usually use this one, page scroll to ID. I'm going to go out of my comfort zone in this tutorial and try something I haven't tested. And you never do that in a tutorial. But just to show you that you have all these options and sometimes you just come have a look at what's going on. Let's see what Subma Smooth Scroll will do. I'm going to click on Install Now, and I have absolutely no idea. Once it is installed, you click Activate. And there it says WordPress 6.2.2 is available. Please update now. So Subma Smooth Scroll appears here, and then there should be some settings for it somewhere. I wonder, we go to Tools. I don't see that. I'm not sure where that smooth scroll feature is. So it looks to me, it just brings it in by itself. Interesting. Let's refresh this WordPress so I can just have a look if I'm missing it somewhere. Tools, settings. Okay. I'm really messing around here. But let's go to the front end where we have our page and refresh and see if there's any Subma smooth scrolling going on. Click on services. And it does say it's a simple plugin, but this is exactly what we were looking for. Yeah, I shouldn't be doing this, but I just wanted to test something different. That's the smooth scroll that we've added. Now our page is scrolling smoothly, but our header doesn't look that good. You see, as I hover over it, it shows us blue. And let's see if we can do something like this demo where I hover over it. We have those lines. We add a little search icon, not that we need it. And we add some social media icons there at the top. Let's do that in the next chapter. Currently, we are in WordPress and we want to go into the header builder because we want to make changes here at the top to what we currently have here. For that, we need to go into the customizer. And there are many ways you can enter the world of the Blocksy theme customizer. The one you usually follow in the WordPress admin area is by going to Appearance and select Customize. This opens the customizer for us. It will load the page. There's only one page. So we have a visual display here on the right. Change the header. I'll go here in the options on the sidebar, select header. And what we will do is first go and style out our menu. Currently, we do not like this very much. Click on the settings for the menu element. And there are many ways you can do that. Here on the left, you can select settings, or you can just click here on the menu within the builder at the bottom. Or you can go to the top and select this little balloon and it will all bring you here. Let's start at the top level options. And we can select menu default, which is also the main menu, but you can put it on main menu. It's not going to make a difference. Top level options, general, these are styles. So that's the current one. I think if you go to type 2, you will see now as I hover over it, there's a line that appears here. Type 3 gives us this background. That's also very popular. And then type 4, these lines that I showed you is the one we want to use. So let's leave it on type 4. We'll have to do some changes here. The items spacing, drag that out, and you see we add space between our menu links. Let's put that on around 55. And then the items height is 100%. What does this mean? 100%, those lines that you see at the top will appear all the way to the top and the bottom. Reduce it to 50%, and I'll type 50. Now when you hover over it, it looks far more presentable than that 100%. If we reduce the height of this main row, this will also reduce because it's 50%. And I'll show you soon how that's going to work. Click back on the arrow to get back to the menu elements, and we grab the social element here and drag it to the top right and drop it in the top row. Click on socials to get to the settings, and you can here set up the socials that you need. We have Facebook, and we have Twitter and Instagram, and you can move them around. If you want Twitter first, then Facebook. To configure them, you have to go to the social network accounts. Select your social network accounts, and it will just quickly jump over to the social network accounts, and you will see this is where you're going to add the details for all of them. You go down to Twitter, and you add your handle here. Where's Twitter? Over here. Same for Facebook, and same for the Instagram. To go back to the settings of the social icons, just select the little bubble there next to it, and it jumps right back here. To add one, you select here from the drop down, let's say Behance now, and click on the plus, and Behance will drop in there, and the little logo will appear there. Let's add one more. What do I have here? Patreon. Okay, who will want Patreon at the printer shop? But why not? And we add it, and it adds there at the top. Open links in new tab. Absolutely yes, we want that. And then the icon size, you can increase it here. I like it smaller like this, and the icon spacing is also fine. Then the icon's color is custom. I will change that, but you can click on official, and then you will see the color will change to the official color of those icons. If you like that, you do that. We will select custom, and now we go back to the top and select the tab that says design. Here we will change the colors out. So the default state, this is the color it's currently. We wanted this maroon. I will go to my creators and select the maroon code. Go back and then click here on default state, initial, and at the bottom, hashtag and paste that. That's what I'll do, and that's how we get the color. It's a little bit strange here for me, but anyway. And then for the hover, I'm going to put it on white. And now you see, I've changed that settings. That's all good. We don't want transparent size, and we've set up the socials. The problem is all of these look a little bit too far spaced. So we reduce the height of the top row and also the main row. I'll go to the top row, select it by clicking on top row. You can also select top row here. And then from the row minimum height, it's set to 50 pixels. I'll reduce that to 35 pixels, and we reduce the height. Select main row. Minimum row height is 100. Let's put it on 80. And it looks far better than it did previously. Hover over the menu. We also need to change the color here for this menu. So we go and select the menu. You can click here, you can click here, and now we go to design. Default state, we select the default state and we paste our maroon code again. And then for the hover, I'm going to put it on white. Active, we will also leave on white. And the default state, I will put on the maroon just for good measure. Type there a hash and paste your code, Control V, Command V. Now, as I hover over it, you will see it looks like that. A little bit different. Scroll down and you will see there are so many more features that you can play around with here. A lot. This is really great to give you the full control over building out that header. In the end, whether it looks like this or it looks like this, the choice is yours. Let's also bring in that search icon so we have a little bit of spacing here and nice alignment. I'll go to the top here in the side, click back, and then the search, drag that, and I'll add it here next to menu on the right. And change the color. I'll click on the search element, go to design, default state, put a hash and a V, Control V, Command V, not a V. And then for the hover state, I'll put it on white, which is color 8 as well. Now, as I hover over it, you can see how it changes. Under general, you can also make the size a little bit bigger if you need that, and choose whether you want it to appear on the others or not. Once we've done this, hop over to mobile. So we click here on mobile. Things look a little bit different here. We have to style it out a little bit different. And we have a trigger here. As it looks here, I don't think I want to go for a menu at all on the mobile. It's just crowding everything. So where the trigger is, I will delete the trigger. And here in the off canvas area, I will also delete the mobile menu. Then we are only left with the logo, but you can see there's not enough space, in my opinion. So I'll go and click on main row, and the minimum height here I will increase so it gives us a little bit more space, like so. And now I think it looks much, much better. What we need to do in Brizy is come here and add a little bit more space. Publish everything, which is save. Click on the X to exit. And then we click here at the top on Print Co to take us to the front end. I can close this instance. And it's updated nicely. Our social icons here at the top. We have a search. We have our menu. About Us takes us there. Let's go and hit function F12. In WordPress Crash Course, we went through this, but I think it's time I revisit this. To test how your site will look in responsive views, it's a really good idea to go into the inspector within your browser. To do that, you hit F12 on your keyboard. Usually, it's a function key. So F12 or function F12. Once it opens the inspector, look for this little icon or a similar icon that will give you the options for responsive viewing. Click on that. And here we go. And this is an iPhone SE. And you can see it looks all right. It looks good. If we go into iPad Air, this is how it looks on the iPad Air. Let's see on iPad Mini. Mini is also okay. And you can go through the rest. Nest Hub. Yeah. So they look good. And once you're done here, you can simply detoggle this, or you can leave it on and just click here on the X in the top right corner and close the inspector. And we're back to the front. This is our front end. Header is done. Next, let's do the footer. Through the power of editing, it often looks like this video is shot within the time frame indicated, but it actually spans sometimes days, even weeks. And definitely you can see the sun is out this side, though it's not really out. It's a little bit overcast today. We are almost done. And I was just thinking, I took a break and I was walking in the garden and I thought, how come 5+ years ago I could do a tutorial in 1 hour? And the reason was because we didn't have mobile and all of these other things that we had to look at. It was just one design. It was very easy. And things have become, I would say, a little bit more complicated or intriguing over the last few years. So we add more. And that's why tutorials go longer. And especially here on Websites for Beginners, my goal is to make sure that you have a very good understanding of what we are doing. And I will put a condition on that. Even in most cases, when we're done with all these modules, you will still have many questions. My answer is do it and do it again. But I also will add to that, those things that you wonder about and you find out you never use it, don't break your brain over that. Just move on. Maybe one day you'll bounce into that and you'll find that you need to know that. That's what our Professor Google is for. or Dr. Bing. Right, Dr. Bing, I like that. We looked at the menu. That's where we were, and I'm actually looking at my notes quickly here. We were looking at the menu. We did the header menu at the top. Perfect. Not so crazy about the white, but that's fine. And I want to show you, we didn't reference the demo that much. This is the demo on the left. Look, it's just by doing the same thing with the same template, you get to something that is pretty much similar, right? And that's a great part of it. I see even the icon here is different. No problem. Our header looks different. I like what we've done so far. You can sell this to someone. Tell them to pay you. Now we're going to go all the way to the bottom because we have activated Blocksy's footer. And we also want to add a menu there. That's often what you get is a menu at the bottom as people scroll down. And then they think, I want to go check this again. And then they click on the menu. Again, this is a very, very short one-pager. Menus aren't actually that important, but we're going to do it nonetheless. Click on Customize. And these things go quicker and quicker now. When we get to the next module, which is the core module, I'm not going to explain to you even more what a customizer is. These things should be locking in at this moment. And we select footer here on the left. Scroll down on the right so you can just see the visual display of the footer. And remember, we have this copyright that we've put here. Click on bottom row because how this works in the footer is you need to have columns. You cannot drag these elements next to each other. You have to put them in columns, and that is because of the nature of widgets. And we select bottom row, and in the options sidebar on the left, click on 2, and it gives us 2 columns. You can see you can make a layout 50-50, or what is that, 70-30. That's not important because what we're going to do here is we're going to just keep it at 50-50. Then click back to get to the elements. You see the footer menu. Click, hold, and drag, and you put that on the right, and you drop the footer menu in there. And there we see the footer menu appears. Select it, and then from our settings on the side, we're going to go to horizontal alignment and select the one on the right. So we can shift all of that this side. Everything is nicely balanced. And that is our footer header. Footer header, our footer block. It's not a footer header. And we've added our footer menu. This menu, as I hover over it, you will see it still has that blue that's coming with Blocksy. And we want to put it on a color for us. This is an independent menu from menu 1. And remember when we created the menus, we were assigning them to menu 1, menu 2, footer menu. This footer menu element only works in the footer builder. Select it by clicking on the settings. You can click here or on itself. And then we go to design and we change this color. For the font color, let's go and grab our maroon again. I'll copy that code, paste it, and I'll do the same for these. I'm going to use the same value, hashtag in front. Remember that when you work with colors, the name. It depends. Some don't need the hashtag. Most of the time, you need the hashtag. There you have it. Let's have a look on mobile, how this will display. Scroll to the bottom. And here we need to make changes. Now, I remember when we did the crash course, here we ran into some issues with the alignment. Let's go back to general. I'll click on copyright. And here's the horizontal alignment. I will go here and for tablet, put it on horizontal. Let's go back to desktop. It's on the left. Nice. And let's do the same. No. On the left. Yes, I'm getting confused. Then we click tablet, center. And then for mobile, it should also now be centered because it goes top down. Let's do the same for our footer menu. Select the element. Go to horizontal alignment. And I'll start here by clicking on the desktop. Then I'll go to tablet and I'll put it on center. And it didn't go to center. I don't see it. And we go to mobile. Let's see. It's also not on center. Strange, not sure why. Not sure what I'm doing here. Item spacing, is it that? It's also not, it doesn't seem to me to be responsive. Let me publish, save this and reload the page. you know, with the customizer, if you've worked with customizers a long time, this often happens with the customizers. Scroll to the bottom and I'll click here to take us into the menu. Let's go to our, absolutely, there it is. This is as old as the mountains in WordPress, and it doesn't matter how good a developer they are. When it comes to the customizer, you make changes, it doesn't look like it's updating on the page, but it's actually updating. This is exactly what happened. I thought, should I edit this out? I'm going to leave it in so you understand. Often you make a change and nothing happens on the page and you think something is wrong, you're doing something wrong, but don't worry, you are still a genius. The world still bows at your feet. But in this case, I forgot about that, so not such a genius after all. The only thing that bothers me is this immense space between the edit, between the copyright and the footer. So I will click on our bottom row, and then we have column spacing, widgets spacing. That should be it. Column spacing, maybe column spacing. Column spacing. Let's put widgets back. There we go. I've redeemed myself. And there we go. Whew. A little bit of a tense moment there, but we work through it. And I see that this here is still justified text, which I cannot stand. Publish it. We were working on the footer here, something that should have been just like that. Couldn't understand what I did wrong. I didn't disappoint my parents. All that happened was that the customizer didn't update in the display. We went to the front end, we published and we exit, but I want you to go into the Brizy editor for this page. Just like you can enter the customizer for Blocksy, you can also edit Brizy directly from the front. And you see here at the top, it says edit page with Brizy. And we select that, that takes us straight into our Brizy page builder. Go to responsive view on the left and put it on mobile. Scroll down. And over here, under Angelique McKay, select the text and align it to the left. That justified text is an absolute no-go. And we're done. Control S, Command S, and I'll hit Control Plus to move up to tablet. And one more time, we move to our desktop. And now we've changed our footer, we've changed our header, we've set the menu. Our page is looking really good. I believe this brings us to the very last chapter in our WordPress Starter course with our good friend WordPress and then the Blocksy theme and Brizy page builder. Like I did previously, I will tell you we've just scratched the surface. There is so much more that we can do here. And I truly hope that this tutorial has shown you things that you weren't aware of. And if you didn't know anything about it, have shown you what you can do and how you can set up a page. Let's just go and view it on the front end because I always get palpitations when I go to the front end. Really, I do. Anything that looks good in the back end, when you go to the front end, it often doesn't work. You do some nice designs, you put in some nice features, and when you get to the front, they don't look good. And that is important that you go through this and understand where you may need to make a few changes. Up here, we have our social icons. We know they work well. You'll set that up within the theme. We've worked on the menu, we've linked them, and we've put a smooth scroll on them so they can easily go to these various places. We have this Contact Us Today, which is a jump link to our form at the bottom. That works really well as well. And then we have a countdown here. Remember, when this countdown comes to an end, you need to come and make changes. There is actually a way you can do it within the builder, but for now, you need to remember countdowns look really bad when you get onto a website and it's at 0. You don't want that. We have this part here. This is all static. Nothing changes here. They look good. Change out your images, change out the brands, put in your own photos, and we've tested our form. And that's beautiful. It worked well. Look at the menu that we've added here at the bottom. When I click on Contact Us, we should stay here, About Us, and it scrolls nicely to the About Us section. You also learned how to put those IDs in the blocks. so we can do this smooth scrolling. We've changed the name at the top. It's looking really good, and you have created this all by yourself, so congratulations. In the next module, which is the core module, we will build on the crash course and the starter. Most of the stuff that we've covered here, I will not be covering in that course again. We will be going through things much quicker, and what we will focus on is multi-pages, how to add more multi-pages, how to set up those menus. We'll also look at a few other features like global blocks in Brizy, which is a really cool feature that I really, really like. For your interest, though I see the core as a little bit more intermediate, Module 4, after 3, of course, is all about blogging, which is a little bit different than everything we've done here. There we're going to be working in the WordPress editor, and we're going to bring in third-party add-ons for that so that we can do some nice blogging with that. To give us a big send-off for this course, let's do one more feature that comes in with Blocksy, and that is the scroll to top. You have this function that you can add to your page that as people scroll to the bottom, let me show you with the demo. They scroll to the bottom, this little thing appears here in the bottom right corner, an icon that shows to the top. And you know what happens? When you click on that, you go all the way to the top. And we add that through Blocksy. It's a little bit of an extension that gives us to enhance the experience of the theme. To do that, with the front end open, select Customize. We go into the Customizer. Sidebar here on the left, scroll and look for, to the top, General Options, scroll to top. There we go. Activate scroll to top and scroll down, and you see there it appears. All we need to do is style it out. Click again on scroll to top to open the settings. Choose the icon that you want. I'll go with type 2, something a little bit thicker. I can keep my shape on square. Let me just see it again. Icon size I will increase. And then the bottom offset, you can change where it appears on the page. As I move with the bottom offset, you can see the icon moves a little bit higher. Same with the horizontal offset. And the alignment on the right or on the left. Let's drop it on the right. And note that the visibility is disabled for mobile devices. Let's enable it for a mobile device and just jump over to the mobile view. Much bigger, and there is an icon size for the mobile view. So let's just go to tablet first. I'll reduce it a little bit on the tablet. And you see again, I don't see anything happening. Is it translating? Let's go to the mobile device. And I'll take it down to 20. Yes, I'm going to do 20. Publish your page. So we go through this so you can understand what happens in WordPress. You've published it. Refresh your page. We select General. Scroll to top. Scroll down. Go to Mobile. And see, it is smaller. A little bit of jumping then between the mobile and the desktop view and the customizer does not always update in real time. So remember that trick, publish, refresh, almost the only way you're going to get around that. Let's change the color for that scroll to top. I will use my maroon again, copy the code, back we go, and we select design tab, shape background color, type in a hashtag, or just a hash. Hashtag is it's just a hash. And also for the hover, I'm going to do the same. Hash. And that is our back to top. I think there's a few more settings. No, not that many. We've covered them all. Type 6. I like this as well. An arrow. See? Oh, nice. I like the thinner arrow, actually. Type 1. Type 1 is my type. And that is our back to top button. Save our work by clicking on Publish. Exit this. Exit this. Exit this. Exit this. And we are back on the front. Test your page by scrolling down. And there it appears. When you are within Chrome or Edge or whichever browser you are using, another important thing to do is to not look at your site while you are logged in. You can see my toolbar, the WordPress toolbar appears here at the top. It's good to grab your URL, and I'll grab just this part, which is my site's domain name, and I'll copy that, and then I'll open another browser. In this case, I'm going to open Brave, paste, and that's a previous instance I already checked. Let's just go. And now with this loaded in Brave, I can go through it, have a look. There is the scroll to top button that appears. And all of this looks good. We've really created a snazzy website for the Print Code Deluxe company. We're going to charge them gazillions and get rich overnight. And then we're going to live happily ever after until our next core module, module 3. And that brings us officially to the end. From me, JP, thank you very much. It's been a marathon, another one coming up. I appreciate the support and thank you for stopping by here at Websites for Beginners. From me then, adios. I'll see you in the next one.